On Saturday, the August 8th, this Saturday, the unquestioned greatest player in Saints history, the one player who transformed an average at best franchise into one that became a perennial championship contender and eventual Super Bowl champion, will take his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So we spent a large chunk of this morning talking about the good old days and what made Drew Brees so special. What are some of the Who Dat's favorite Drew memories, and why is it more than just his play on the field that made number 9 so special? Also, we'll have our camp update with our friend, the NOLA.com Saints editor, Zach Ewing, and we'll finish off the show with predictions of the NFC and AFC East with Zach, Gabe, UBN, and of course, I'll chime in. And of course, we'll ask what you think. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 days until the Saints' first preseason game, and I could give you 9 reasons on why it's time to start the Dattitude podcast. You know what? Let's just forget all that, and how about we roll them?
Ready to hear the straight scoop on local and national sports? It's time for Jim Derry's take on the Saints, LSU, what betting lines to ponder, and more. He's got opinions, he's got insight, and he's got Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
What is up this morning, Dattitude family? I'm not sure what I'm more excited about. The kids going back to school, Drew Brees entering the Hall of Fame, or Dattitude. Episode number 529 presented by Evangeline Securities for a Thursday, August the 6th, 2026. You know, the only thing I was thinking about earlier was, why didn't they just do this on Sunday so he could be presented on the 9th? Just saying, I know that's not how it works. They don't care about stuff like that. But it would have been kind of cool. Everything else is 9. In case you're new here, you know it. Even if you're new here, you know. I am Jim Derry, nearly 36 years on the sports media scene here in New Orleans, and I thank you so much for spending a chunk of your Thursday morning with us. Welcome to the Dat family, whether you're new, old, somewhere in between. What is on today's show? All kinds of stuff. We got a jam. We got so much to talk about. Going to spend a huge chunk of today, frankly, just doing something that we don't do enough of. When I started this show way back when, 2021, I really thought, obviously it was the end of the Drew Brees era when we first started this show. He had just retired. It was the last year of Sean Payton being coach. And you just think that Drew Brees would come up maybe more than he does, and he doesn't come up enough. So we're going to spend a large chunk of today doing something we don't do enough of doing, and that's reminiscing about Drew Brees and saying, just going through some of our favorite memories. I've got some typed in here. I don't usually do a whole lot of script, but I got some today. We're going to be going through some of the numbers, some of the crazy, wacky numbers that Luke Johnson wrote about on NOLA.com that I saw this morning. Just insane. I mean, when you start thinking about the numbers and why, some guys you say, okay, it's a clear, like Larry Fitzgerald's going in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's a no-brainer, right? I mean, if you don't think Larry Fitzgerald belongs in the Hall of Fame, I'm going to tell you what I tell a lot of the other people who are just wacko jackos. And I got some extra shares of birdseed for you to go sit and feed the pigeons on Sunday because Larry Fitzgerald belongs in the Hall of Fame. That being said, Larry Fitzgerald is on this tier. Drew Brees is above the screen. You can't. It's here. It's way up here. That's how much Drew Brees. There's a no-brainer. And you go through some of these numbers, and they're just insane. And I know we've all seen them, and at some point talked about them. But I mean, they still sometimes boggle the mind. And when I see list of the greatest players in history, and Tom Brady's always number one on. Well, not always, but a vast majority of the time, number one in these lists. And fine, if you think Tom Brady's the greatest player in NFL history, that's fine. We're not going to sit here and debate that today. But if you put a list of top 20 players together and you don't have Drew Brees in there, you should stop making lists. I saw a list the other day, top 20 players in NFL history. Drew Brees wasn't on it. You're immediately disrespected. I don't care what you say from here on out. That's just where I am. And, I'm biased to some extent, but I've told you, I've gone through the thing, and there are things that Drew Brees done, and today's not the day for this, but I've said this on the show. There are things that Drew Brees has done in the past. Some of the contract situations, I didn't love them. Okay, again, not necessarily his fault, but he just listened to his agent. He did what he did. But when you talk about level of play, there's just no denying the fact that for me, I think it's unquestioned that he should be in the top 10 list. I mean, every top 10 list. If you don't have him in the top 20, I can't remember who it was the other day. Maybe that's how much I put this out of my mind. It was last week one day. They were doing top 10s and just insane. Had a top 20. Gabe says Bleacher Report had him at number, and I didn't look at this. This is why I don't even look at these lists anymore. Bleacher Report had him at number 32 in their top 1,000. Stop making a list. If you got Drew Brees, number 32, in your list of greatest NFL players, stop making lists. It's an invalid list. It's voided. It means nothing. If you've got Drew Brees 32, void. Immediately. Done. And you can dislike Drew Brees, or, you can even say, if you want to, you're wrong, but you could say he's overrated or whatever. But if you don't have him in your top 20, you're a moron. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, Derry. Yeah, and your opinion is wrong if you don't at least have him in the top 20. Now, we could talk about top 10. I'm not saying he has to be in the top 10. We'll go through. I could go through, and you could tell me who your top. A lot of times when Gabe and I disagree, we talk about. Remember, not too long ago, we were talking about top receivers and whether Chris Olave belonged in the top 15. Gabe would go through a list, and he said, "This is my top 15." I'd say, "You know what? We'd talk about it, and after we were done, I see your side. I would probably put him right here. You got him a couple spots lower, but at least you go through a list and tell me who your numbers are. If we went through a top 10 list and you didn't have Drew Brees in your top 10 and you told me who your top 10 were, I probably could say, okay, maybe. I don't necessarily disagree. But there is no list. There just isn't a list in history. If you're putting together I don't care how you put them together. There is no list where Drew Brees isn't in the top 20. Period. Just not. We'll talk about that. I'm going to ask Zach. Obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. We're going to get into camp news. There's not a whole lot of camp news, which is a good thing. Remember, when you're looking for things to write about during camp, that's a good thing. Okay. Now, maybe later in camp, when we're talking about getting towards the end of camp and they played 2 preseason games and now you're still looking for things to write, maybe that's not so good. But when you're talking about what's going on after a week of camp or a little more than a week of camp or whatever it is, and you're having, it's fine. That means you had your one major injury, knock on wood, and I am at a wooden desk. And you hope you have no more, and whatever. So we're going to get into there's a couple things that I want to get into with Zach later besides just the camp updates. But how about and I'm going to kind of gear it towards some of they really have the last couple days. And I know, again, you want to talk about biases. There were some stories that I really like on NOLA.com the last couple days. One of them is something that Matt wrote on 5 Under the Radar Saints. Now, I'm not going to tell all of them because it would be it wouldn't give you a reason to go check it out. You can go find them on NOLA.com/Saints. But I do want to talk about number 5 in particular. I'm not going to tell you who number 5 is yet, but I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Zach's going to probably come on about 9:20, maybe 9:25. We'll see how it goes. And then their camp observations. We're going to talk about maybe there's one position battle. Could there be a surprise at a certain position? We're going to get into that. I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's on defense. We're going to get to all that. So that's how we're going to spend our day. And then at the end of the show, we're going to start our series of 4 predictions on divisions. We're going to do 2 divisions at a time. We're going to go in the order of East, West, North, South, AFC and NFC. So today we're starting with the East. What are your predictions for the East? We're going to get to which is our poll question, but not just yet. Not just yet. I got to tell you what is different about our show. You know it's different. You talk to us, we talk back to you. If you're watching, Even if you're not watching live, if you're watching after the fact, we'd love to have you type up the comments. We've had a lot more comments lately, and I know people are still getting adjusted to the time of the show. You see the members there at the bottom. I think our Dattitude members so much. These are our paid members. These lovely human beings have decided they love this show so much that they want to contribute to keep it going, and I thank them so much, along with our sponsors that I'm going to get to in just a minute. We can't do it without our sponsors. We couldn't do it without our members. We can't do it without our regulars. So if you say, you know what, I can't afford to, I love the show, can't afford to be a member right now, that's okay. As you see the scroll of the members, make sure you're a subscriber and tell your friends. That's how you can help. You can subscribe to the show. You see the little QR code there at the top right of the screen? Just get your little phone out, click it, send it to your friends, whatever you want to do. Subscribe to the Dattitude podcast. We'd appreciate it so much. And we'll see where we are at the end of the year. If you want to talk to me after the show, if you watch it after the fact, we're all on all audio podcast platforms as well. You can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or email me, jim@jimderry.com. All right, let's get to a couple things before we get to the ads. And number one is I'm wearing my it looks like I'm going on vacation or something today because I'm wearing my, something I might wear during the summer to the beach. I mean, it's still summer. I'm not on vacation. By any, it's been a busy week so far for me at work, but I don't have to go to work today till about 1 o'clock or so. But I wore this shirt in honor of the kiddos going back to school. That's right, And I will say this, and I'm going to show them, you know what, and just for them, I'm going to say this. Here they are this morning. Now, if you have girls, for those of you parents out there who have girls, it is amazing when you have girls, okay? They get up at 5:30, or the first day of school, they get up at 5:30 a.m. on their own. They fix their hair. They put on makeup. By Tuesday of next week, they'll be crying, I don't want to wake up. I hate school. But this is what they look like on the first day of school, okay? And it is mind-boggling to me that I'm about to have a 15-year-old in my house, 15-year-old girl. You see Ella on the left, and, I've made these signs for him every year since Ella was in pre-K. And I have a file of them. You can see, I'm transparent. I probably shouldn't be this open, but if you go look hard enough on my Facebook page and you want to see them, I have a folder in my photos file of the first days of school that I haven't put this one in yet. But Ella and Lucy, 15 and 10 years old, well, about to be 15 and 10 years old, in the 10th grade and the 5th grade. And this is like the 13th year that I've done this. I think the first year that I did it, I don't even know if Lucy was born yet. I don't know. I guess if I've been doing it for 12 or 13 years, this is probably the 12th time that I've done it. So yeah, Lucy probably wasn't even born the first time I did it. Anyway, crazy, but I'm telling you, it's so fun to watch them. I got up at 6:10 this morning, and not only were they up, but they were like running around the house, and it's just crazy. It's a crazy house this morning, but it's fun times. They are out of here, baby. Out of here. For the next they have so many days off, but you know what I mean. First days of school, when you work from home, and I used to work from home 100% of the time. Now I work from home about 70%. I spent yesterday in the office, actually, but 70% of it, maybe 65, 70% of the time. But when you work from home and you're trying to work and you got kids, man, a lot of you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so that's why we're wearing this shirt in honor of it. It just feels like vacation, even though we're not on vacation. We're working our asses off, but fun. They're going. They're out of the house. But congratulations, Ella and Lucy. You've moved up to the next grade. I got a sophomore in high school. She'll be driving very soon. She can't wait to get a license. That should be interesting. More updates coming up on that. Before we get started, just not a whole lot of news around the NFL. The Commanders signed Stephon Diggs. So Jaden Daniels will be thrown to, what is Stephon Diggs, like 48 years old now? Seriously. I know he's not 48 years old, but he might as well be. Although that does probably mean that Brandon Ayuk is going elsewhere. So where is Brandon Ayuk going? We'll have to find out. But that's really your only big NFL news. Aaron Donald is working out for the Rams. No surprise there. But there's also talk that he may get into the media. He may get into color commentating. Who knows? Maybe he'll do both. Who the hell knows? Gabe says Ayuk's going to the psych ward. Maybe. You know who can straighten everything out for you? Solid as a rock, baby. Let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're coming. I should have done JoJo first. Should have done Joe DiStefano first when I talk about crazy. Love him to death. Just kidding out there, Joe, if you're watching. Of course, Evangeline Securities is a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, and I mean just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you, someone you know, someone you will love, someone you say, you know what? They've been thinking about selling their business. They think it's worth $40 million. They're way off. They gotta call Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. Like tomorrow. I mean, it is Friday tomorrow. Have him do it early in the day. Get him to reach out to Nick. He'll start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. Say that 10 times fast. What happens after that? We'll fill you in more later in the show. You can check them out in the meantime at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also, by now. How about my friend Joe DiStefano? Speaking of, a little crazy, a little cray-cray. Nah, he's all there.
Louisiana, we're leveling up, and people are taking notice. Our team has grown its sales by 67% since this time last year, but don't worry, we're still searching for ambitious people who want more out of life than the 9-to-5 routine. With Level Up Louisiana, we offer real support, real training, real opportunity, no corporate fluff, no empty promises. If you're hungry for growth, tired of ceilings, or simply ready for a change that actually moves your life forward, this might be your moment. This sounds like you? Scan the QR code on the screen or email us at louisiana.division@ushacareers.com. That's louisiana.division@ushacareers.com. You can also call or text Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132. With offices in Mandeville and Baton Rouge, you build your future with Level Up Louisiana.
It's probably not a good idea to piss off your sponsors, even if they're good friends of yours, right? So take it all back. I'm just kidding. Let's get on with the show. You know what? We are going to start off with the poll question before we get into everything. What did I do? I forgot to change this. This is not the right slide. There's the right slide. I don't know what the hell is going on around here. Anyway, poll question today. We're going to talk a lot about Drew Brees, but remember, we're going to end the show with our predictions on the AFC East and NFC East, and we're looking for your prediction. You're going to help us make our predictions because they are interesting. They're definitely interesting. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to give you, all four of us. Now, UBN's not here. He's in Chicago, but we got his numbers. We're going to put it on the screen. First, it's going to be Zach and I, and we're going to give you our predictions for the AFC East and NFC East. We're going to give you our order of finish. And at the same time, we're going to tell you whether we think those teams are going to go over their projected total on DraftKings or under. Are they going to go over or under? We're each going to make our predictions. It's going to be Zach and I, and then when Gabe comes on later, we'll give you UBN's predictions as well. But today's poll question is going to be this. It's going to be for the next 3 weeks after today as we do our previews. Which of these four teams will have the best season? Of these four, now obviously we got 8 teams. We're right. That's right. We're writing off 4 of them. Of these 4 teams, which one's going to have the best season? I will give you my vote when we get there. So I'm not going to give you I will vote, but I'm not going to vote until we get to the prediction segment and Zach comes on. But which of these 4 teams will have the best season? Of these 4 teams only. Type in the number 1, only the number 1. Don't give me your reasons. Give me your reasons in a separate comment. Type in the number 1 if you think the answer is the Buffalo Bills, and that's obviously the easiest. You are the, I'm just going to say, if you choose the Buffalo Bills, you are what Vegas dreams of. They want you to think the Buffalo Bills. Everybody and their mama's going to pick the Buffalo Bills, okay? So I'm just saying, I'm not telling you not to pick the Buffalo Bills if that's what you think, but that's by far the easiest pick. So just think of that as you make your pick. Which of these 4 teams will have the best season? Of these 4 teams, number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Type in the number 2 if you think the answer is the New England Patriots. Type in the number 3 if you think it's the hated Dallas Cowboys. Or type in the number 4 if you think it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Super Bowl Philadelphia Eagles. Gabe wants to come on for a second. Take the poll question off. Make it quick. We got Zach coming on.
I need your live reaction to something that just dropped.
Okay.
So I'm going to show it to you, and then I'll say. But a lot of people were asking in the offseason why Lane Kiffin went from Ole Miss to LSU, and here's why.
Wait, what's this?
Ole Miss made college football playoff ring.
Oh, wow. You know what my reaction is to that? Wow.
They finished 4th, and they made rings for them.
Wow. You know what my reaction is? My reaction is
they dropped those today, and I had to show them.
Did Lane get one?
Come on. I don't know, actually.
I mean, he should.
I would imagine not.
I mean, you could be shitty if you want, but I mean, he should get one.
He should get one, but
So,
no, actually, he shouldn't. I hope Lane Kiffin doesn't want one. Why would you want a 4th place ring?
I have no idea. All right. We got to get Zach's coming on in 5 minutes. I got comments, but bring that back up when you come back on later. We'll talk about that again. Jesus Christ. I mean, this is where we are now. I mean, it's like when my kids were playing Little League ball, and at the end of the season, they went 2-8, but everybody got a trophy. Don't get me started on that crap. I am not for everybody gets a trophy. If anybody's read when I was covering high school football, how much I hate the way the high school playoffs are now. And I mean, at least they made it a little better. It wasn't that long ago when teams that were literally 0-10 were making the playoffs. Not exaggerating. Put the poll question back up if you don't mind, because people can still vote while I show some of these comments. But again, which of these 4 teams will have the best season? Will it be the Buffalo Bills? If you think it's them, type in the number 1. If you think it's the New England Patriots, type in the number 2. If you think it's the Dallas Cowboys, type in the number 3. And if you think it's the Philadelphia Eagles, type in the number 4. You still got plenty of time to vote. We're not going to close this poll till probably close to the end of the show. All right, I got tons of comments, and we got like 4 minutes to Zach. I told him to hold on a little bit. You can take it off now, Gabriel. I don't even know. Is Gabriel your real name, or is it just okay? See, I should know that. We've only been working together for 4 years now. Our super got to get to the chat. Of course, we're going to start UBN in Chicago. $50 super chat. I'm actually going to, I mean, for $50, I'll let you say what you're going to say. I can't wait to read this. You know, I don't read them until they're actually here. So wait, Brees is top 20 all-time players is what you're saying, or just quarterbacks? I'll watch this answer later, heading to breakfast in Wrigleyville. Brees is clearly, unquestionably, undoubtedly, if you don't think he is, feed pigeons on Sunday. Unquestionably, top 20 all-time players. I mean, you'd have a hard time getting me off of top 10 all-time, but you cannot get me off of top 20 all-time. Mr. Jay Hamilton, thank you so much, and all you regulars, for the super sticker, the donation to the show. It is much appreciated. I can't tell you how much that means to me. All the help, all the support that we've gotten over the past, especially a couple years. We appreciate it so much. Got to roll through some of these comments. Zach's already in the green room. We got to get going this morning. Rocky, good morning. Hello there, sir. Charles Mangus is here. Good morning. Darian Brown looks great in practice. I know. It's practice. Now, Kendra Miller, again, kind of her. I mean, come on, man. Who cares? Until somebody tells me they're going to miss time in the regular season, I don't care. Sorry. I mean, y'all make so much out of so little. S. Callie, good morning. Hello, everybody. What else we got going on here? Got to run. And I'm sorry, I really am rolling through some of them this morning. UBN says, aloha. Drew made the Hall of Fame. Okay. He's just being UBN, y'all. Kyle wants to know if we got Perlis as a new spot. No, it's Polo, man. Come on. Polo. I told you why I'm wearing the shirt. I am celebrating the kids going back to school, baby. It is a banner day in the Derry household. Musette, good morning. You're in Canton. I saw some other Dat fans on my Facebook page talking about being in Canton this weekend. Enjoy it. Let us know how it goes. Please take pictures. Send me a couple pictures. I'll show them if you want. Brian Cavett, good morning. Brees in 06 is why he got season tickets again. Had a feeling he would be fine, recover from surgery. It's something special. He was definitely special. Adam Varner says it is humid in Mobile. Well, it's August the 6th, my friend. Probably going to be humid for another month and a half before it starts feeling any better at all, maybe. Charles also says, you missed Derry's Dimes. They'll be back pretty soon. Jimmy Radcliffe, good morning. Hello, and what is it, 7-something in the morning in California? Man, you're waking up early to watch that. There it is. It was 7:05 when he showed it. 72 degrees in Corona, California. We miss you, my friend. Drew Brees, one of the best entertainers of all time. There's no question. Kyle says Drew is one of the pantheon of GOATs, top 5 ever. I can't argue with you. Jerry's here. Of course he is. You got to be here. Sean wants to know, will Cesar Luis lose his starting job before week 1? Barring injury, 0.0% chance. Barring injury. Earl says every NFL player I've seen asked puts Brees in their top players list. Of course they do. There's a reason why. No call cost him a trip to the Super Bowl. Don't get me started on that. John Hamilton is here. Good morning. Go Saints. Who that, baby? What you watching on Facebook today instead of YouTube? Okay. Lance says Drew had a top 10 defense 4 times. Brady had one 17 times. Drew played in division against 2 MVPs. Brady against 0. Okay. Y'all liking my shirt, huh? I'm telling you, it's celebration time, baby. Who that, Daddy? Welcome, sir. You love the pick of the girls, man. If you missed it, one more time. This is why I'm wearing a shirt, baby. Get your ass to school. 5:30 a.m. they were up primping, getting themselves ready. 5:30 in the morning. They won't be up at 5:30 in the morning next week. That's right. The Ella Chronicles continue. He was here. Joe. He might not be here later. Who knows? He loves me. Cecil, good morning. Football weather is 3 months away. Yeah. Nettie, haven't seen you in a while. How you been? Ellen Lucy will have a great day. John Gainey, good morning. Was Drew the greatest ever for the Saints? Am I really overlooking Johnny Poe? I'm sorry. I forgot Johnny Poe. How could I do that? You got a point. I mean, who else we got back there? Dave Waymer. All the defensive backs we've had. Apathy. You made $20 off of a Kendra Miller injury. I don't get it. Y'all acting like he's out for this. Y'all got problems. Some of y'all got problems. Hart, you're here. Voting number 4. He says the Philadelphia Eagles will be the best of the bunch. We're going to get there. All right, we got to get rolling. I apologize if I missed some. We'll get Ryan O'Shea saying Hurts stinks. Pats were a 9-win team masquerading as Super Bowl team. Dallas, LOL. Okay, I guess that means he voted for Buffalo. I mean, it's easy to vote for Buffalo. Just saying. I'm going to get to somebody's comments in a little bit. We got to get rolling. Get on with the show. And Zach Ewing, good morning. How are you, sir? Thursday, camp started. We are in nonstop mode already. Can't hear you, sir. I can't hear you. I think still can't hear you.
How about now?
Like now you're on. Now you're on.
Plugged my mic. I tried to use the fancy mic and it wasn't working. So
damn it. Got to get that fancy mic working.
You're going to get a little echo.
Oh,
happy kids are back to school day.
Isn't it exciting? Your kids back too?
Yeah, they went back today, and I have to say, maybe I'm just getting older. Although notably, I'm not as old as you. Got to throw that in there. But my
Thank
kid,
you for that.
my kids are now 10th grade, 7th grade, 5th grade this year. Okay, and for
Say
the
that
first
again.
10th grade, 7th grade, or I'm sorry, 10th grade, 8th grade, 5th grade.
All right, I got 10th and 5th, obviously.
10th grade, 8th grade, 5th grade. And for the first time as they went off to school and I went back to bed for 20 minutes, I felt a little twinge of like empty nest syndrome. Like, oh man, in 5 more years, my older two will be out of the house. 5 years after that, it's like it's going to be too quiet in here. And I don't know if that's just me getting emotional in my old age or what, but it did hit me.
Yeah.
Never felt that bad. In the past years, I was all with you. I was like, God, get out of here.
Every time I start thinking about that, I think about when I found out we were having a surprise baby and we had to start all over again at my old age. So, and I mean, I think my wife feels it more than I do, but yeah, one day they will be going and I probably will be sad, but I'll be on Social Security by then. And they're going to have to come pick me up to drive me to my doctor's appointment. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get to, there are a couple things before we get to Drew Brees. There are a couple things that I want to talk about. And because I got some moments that I want to talk about when it comes to Brees, but I want to plug the coverage at NOLA.com, NOLA.com/Saints. And not just because they're my employer again, but seriously, this week has been great. I've gone through everything. And I think that some of the stuff that y'all have done, there are a couple things that I want to bring up because again, I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts. So you're going to have to go read them. I'm just going to do little chunks of one. But the one in particular that I want to start out with is, again, I don't want to give too much away, but I love the Matt's what does he call it? The Mason Tipton under the radar
All-Stars, yeah.
Okay, Mason Tipton, the under the radar guys that could be. And again, so you're going to have to go find them because I'm only going to talk about one in particular because I love the number 1 and number 2 picks. Couldn't agree more. However, I got a bone to pick. I'm going to talk about the one that I have a bone to pick with. Why does people keep trying to make something out of nothing? Number 5, I think maybe number 5 was just because he didn't have a 5th one. He says, let's just throw Tanner Brown out there. Tanner Brown is not making this football team. Saints have a kicker. His name is Charlie Smith. And we're trying to just pump up Tanner Brown because he can kick it 90 yards. Who gives a damn? They did not. Yeah, you can give me the side eye all you want. I'm
not so sure about that.
I'll give you 2.5 to 1.
Haven't we already made this bet? I feel like we already made this.
I know. Did we, Gabe? Did we make this bet? If we didn't, we might make it. Who knows?
People talked about Charlie Smith this way the last 2 years, and they wanted to see him. So why don't people want to see Tanner Brown? Is he?
Well, I said before when I never liked Blake Grupe, I kept saying that Charlie Smith was going to be the kicker of this team and Grupe was going to be gone. So I've always been we did make a kicker bet. Do you remember what it was, Gabe? If you can remember what it was, put it up there.
I think it might have been, you might have improved your odds. Maybe I'll take the 2.5 to 1.
I might have improved my odds. So we'll say 2.5 to 1. I'll give you 2.5 to 1. What is the bet? We're gonna write it down this time.
Have to go back to the tape. Hey, I got another, but I know you got stuff to get to, but another quick, because I listened to Monday's show last night, actually my way back home from small bone to pick with you about your roster construction comments, where you said 0 chance they keep 4 tight ends. I'm gonna side eye you on that one too. I think there's a good chance they keep.
I think I said 1% chance. I don't think I said 0.0.
I think there's a good chance they keep 4 tight ends. They like Maliki.
I know. And see now I was trying not to give too much away from your from Matt's 5 things.
Oh, see, to be honest with you, I forgot he was even in it.
Yeah,
I hadn't read that yet when I listened last night, but he and the other thing is you can keep 6 wide receivers and 4 tight ends and still make the math work.
Yeah,
you can, because if you think about it, 53-man roster, you got 3 specialists.
You're not keeping 10 receivers and tight ends.
They've done it before. I mean, just think about it real quick.
I mean,
kicker, punter.
I've gone on a diet for 3 months at a time before too, but I'm probably not going to.
I don't know that you keep it that way all year, but you could do it as needed. So kicker, punter, long snapper, that's 3 spots. So that leaves you 50. So if you go 25 offense, 25 defense, okay, so you have 25 spots on offense. If you do 10 on the pass catchers, that still leaves you 9 O linemen, which is normal, and then 3 running backs, 3 quarterbacks. So it works out. Now you could also choose to keep a 10th lineman or a 4th running back, but you kind of have that one extra spot to play with. And last year they only kept 2 quarterbacks on the 53 to begin the year. It was just Rattler and Shuck, and so
I think they'll probably do that again.
I think they actually only kept 24 guys on offense last year. They had 4 running backs. I went back and looked at the opening day roster last year, and they had 9 pass catchers with 4 running backs. So you have a little bit of room to wiggle there. And so I think if you count Barry and Brown as a return man and wide receiver, you're looking at probably 6 wide receivers and 4 tight ends on your opening day roster.
No.
You want to place another bet?
Let's do a parlay.
You got to win both.
You got to win both or you don't win.
I don't think Tanner Brown's more than 50-50, but I think he's 2.5 to 1 is good value on that.
All right. Well, we'll figure out what the bet is, but I don't know, man. I'm telling you, this team to me, just you're taking a spot away from somewhere else that really needs to be it. I mean, Kyle thinks Maliki's going to be on the 53. I don't. I mean, I think he's going to be on a practice squad. There's no reason to put him on a 53-man roster.
Well, here's your reason. If you want to run 13 personnel, let's say you're only going to run it 10.
Well, they're going to every now and then.
If you're going to have a 13 personnel package, you almost have to have 4 tight ends. What if one of those guys gets hurt in the first quarter?
Then you take them off the practice squad in the next, and then for the next game, you don't want
to go without one of your main packages for the next 3 quarters.
I mean, you'll take a chance for that roster spot. You'll take a chance that you're not going to have a tight end get hurt in the first quarter. Yes,
I'd just like to know who you're keeping instead of those guys.
I mean, we have to get there. I mean, it's August 6th. I mean, I'm not going to start this. It's a little bit too early to go through and try to start disseminating who's going to make this roster. And that's why I think it's funny. It's like, this person's going to make it. This person's going to make it. Rex Steiner is going to make it, blah, blah, all this stuff. So,
and look, the other part of this is, as you say, it's still more than a month. Somebody is going to have, God forbid it's a major injury, but somebody will get nicked up and not be ready to go opening day. I mean, that's just going to happen, and this problem may solve itself. But I do think if the season started this weekend, they would have 4 tight ends and six receivers.
Well, thank goodness the season doesn't start this weekend, because I think it's absolutely silly to have 4 tight ends on your active roster. I mean, you're going to only have 3 running backs. So you're going to have 3 running backs, 6 receivers, and so now you got 13 of your 53 players are running backs, receivers, and tight ends. You may have a 4th one of those, and that might not even be counting Barry and Brown.
I mean, the math works out if you sit there, and unless you want 10 linemen, which I don't think there's 10 linemen worth keeping on this team.
And I see, there's multiple people saying you just keep 2 quarterbacks. Well, they're going to only keep 2 quarterbacks. That doesn't mean anything. That's beyond anything. I don't care. They only keep 2 quarterbacks. I mean,
how many linemen you want on this team?
Good Lord. You want to talk about potential people getting hurt? Hart says he will say Charlie Smith's only kicks, I'm sure he meant, was 55, while Brown has 2 missed. We're talking about preseason kicks. I mean, pre-practice kicks. However, last year Smith was bad in camp and group. We only missed 1 kick, so who knows? They're going to be loyal to the player who's been here. That's who part of this, too, is how the Saints operate. I mean, when it comes to kicker. That's the reason why I give Tanner Brown, realistically, I joke and say 1.0, but he probably has a realistically 15% chance to make the team. So when you go through and part of the 15% on another team, he might have a 30% chance to make a team. But that's not how the Saints work. It's not how the Saints operate.
Yeah,
that's why they showed that last year with Blake Groupie, and they didn't cut Groupie until they like, all right, we just can't take it anymore. That's just how they roll. So that's why they're not going to do it. Some other things that I wanted to talk about before we get to Drew is there's another story that y'all have that I really liked, and you keep doing the camp observations and all that, but. Again, I don't want to give too much away, so I'm not going to get into all the position battles, but it was definitely a topic that I wanted to talk about this morning. There was one particular position battle that I'm interested in that you talked about. I'm interested in all of them, but the one that I'm most interested in, I guess I should say, is linebacker. And you talk about the potential, and Danny Stutzman has been getting some first-team reps over Pete Werner, and we've been talking about Danny Stutzman. Do you think that Stutzman can – because this one, I give a realistic chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I'm not sure whether it's going to happen or not. But I think Stutzman has a realistic chance of unseating, or at least having more playing time, I guess, than Pete Werner.
Yeah, I think it's realistic for sure. They like Stutzman. Is he going to be the starter in name? Probably not, at least to start the season. I would be surprised by that. But I do think by the end of the year, or as you say, maybe just more playing time for Stutzman, like it could slowly transition into him being the primary guy there next to Caden Ellis at linebacker. Like I think that could be in the cards. They like Stutzman. Pete Werner's always been a solid guy, never really been a difference maker. And solid's fine at that position. So it's not like I'm not trying to knock Pete Werner, but if you could get somebody in there who could start making some plays and everything and upgrade, then why not?
Yeah, I just think that's going to be one of the races that I think I talked about that about a month ago when we talk about things we're going to be looking for in camp. And I actually think I'm interested to see, how do you fit Danny Stutzman in more? It's going to be very interesting to watch him go forward. Also, I don't know that this is necessarily in the camp battle story that I saw today. I don't think it is, but there's been a lot of talk about how well Vernon Broughton has been so far, and I think he, with Brian Brisset, we talked about it last week or when he got hurt, and maybe Vernon Broughton, maybe he benefits as much as anyone from. I mean, you don't want to say someone's benefiting from an injury, but it's true, it is. But Vernon Broughton may become a starter.
There's just more snaps available. That's a spot where who the starter is really doesn't matter, because you rotate out those defensive tackles so often during a drive. If the offense subs, you're going to get those big guys off the field and get them a blow. So you'll see 3 or 4 of those guys regularly in at that spot, maybe even 5. And so you have Devon Godshaw, you have Nathan Shepard, and then you have the young guys in Vernon Broughton and Christian Miller, who's out with a toe injury, so a little concern there. I mean, Kellen Moore made it sound yesterday like it wasn't real serious. I haven't seen yet if he's out there today. They're practicing indoors as we speak, and it would be a good sign to see him get back out there pretty quickly, because as we all know, as people who follow the Saints, toe injuries can linger. I mean, the Saints have had bad luck with those.
Exactly. Look at Michael Thomas.
Yeah, you don't want to have a kind of a cluster injury where you have 2 guys now you were counting on at that spot to both be injured long term. So it'd be good to see him out there. But yeah, Vernon Broughton, like, he's a guy who he popped at training camp last year, and then he kind of faded, to be honest. By the time the season started, it was more like, okay, well, he looks like he's not ready. Like, the grind of camp wore him down a little bit. Then he got hurt and missed the season, and so I think we all could kind of see maybe big things come for him if he could kind of get in a little bit better shape and kind of get used to the grind of an NFL season and then stay healthy. Yeah, he could definitely be in line to be a key contributor there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when you talk about a player that a rookie player who missed his entire first season, he's kind of out of mind, right? You don't really think about him as much, or the average fan probably doesn't. So I'm definitely interested to see what's going to go on there. So the interior of that defensive line could take shape. It's gonna be interesting to see how the defense kind of evolves this year with Staley. I mean, obviously you're trying to transition long term, assuming Staley stays here long term. How much 3-4? They didn't go completely 3-4 last year. Do you transition into more of that this year?
Yeah, they still have a little bit of a personnel problem when it comes to running a full 3-4. And quite honestly, Brian Brzee was part of that problem. He's not a traditional nose tackle, and he's not really a traditional, even a 3-technique defensive end. He's a little bit misplaced. He's just so talented that they were going to use him regardless. So maybe that does actually help you transition into it. They have shifted some personnel around. Caden Ellis probably a better fit for the 3-4, although DeMario is so versatile, you could play him anywhere. But yeah, I think you'll see a little bit more. I don't think they're all the way there yet, but Brandon Staley, look, the guy's smart. He's going to run multiple defenses. He has his base D, but he's going to adjust it based on what's needed and who they're facing.
Yeah, speaking about defensive linemen, Hart wants to know, has there been any talk about how Xavier Harris has looked? I mean, has he – I haven't really read too much about him, to be honest.
I want to say he missed yesterday's practice
Did he?
as well.
I haven't seen much on him at all.
So I think you're probably looking at a guy who's ticketed for the practice squad at this point, just because if you're a guy like that, an undrafted player, you got to be on the field.
Yeah, well, and anyway, so before we move on, I encourage everyone to go check out NOLA.com/Saints. Some great stuff we've alluded to. I don't want to give too much away from those stories. Definitely worth looking at stuff by Luke and Matt this morning. Here with Zach Ewing on the Dattitude podcast on this Thursday morning. Reminder, we are live every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Please give us a like. Please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube page. We would very much appreciate it. Before we get to Drew Brees, there is one thing I want to talk about. You listened to Monday's podcast, you said yesterday, and we were talking about how it's interesting. Remember all the way back to Monday? We're talking about how Chris Olave being in the top 10 of wide receiver contracts. It's already over. He got bumped. Zay Flowers gets 4 years, $140 million extension. Just goes to show you that, for those stragglers out there in social media land who are hating on Chris Olave and saying that's a ridiculous contract, it just goes to show you that the next wide receiver who is anywhere near that level is probably going to get a little bit more, and then the next guy is going to get a little bit more, and who knows? By this time next year, Chris Olave might be like number 23 on the list.
Yeah, that's the thing about the way these contracts work, and this goes for any sport, but it's especially true for NFL sports with a salary cap that goes up over time. What looks like kind of an overpay or, God, that's an expensive contract. If Chris Olave continues to produce at the level he produced last year, this deal is going to be a huge bargain.
I agree.
If he doesn't, if there's injuries or drop off as he ages a little bit, then maybe not. Those contracts can become albatrosses. But like you said, already you're looking at it dropping down the list. We saw the same thing. I know people won't like me saying this, but Derek Carr's contract is the same way.
Uh-oh.
When they
say what?
Well, when they signed it, it was like they gave him how much? But even like a year later, it was like, oh, he's like right in the middle of the pack for quarterback pay, and he's probably a middle of the pack quarterback. It looks fine. And had he kept up the level of play that we had seen with him with the Raiders, or even the first half a year in New Orleans, like that deal would have looked like a bargain by the end. It would have, if he had stayed healthy, if he had stayed on the field and productive. And so these things just kind of over time take care of themselves. The real thing is, can Chris Olave stay on the field? Can he stay productive? If so, it's going to end up being a really good deal for the Saints.
We're about to get some flippity flip on in the comment section. I know. I can't wait for it. Brian says he's jonesing so bad for football he's going to watch the entire game tonight. I forgot that was even on. There is the Hall of Fame game is tonight. It is Carolina. It is Arizona, and I have a parish council meeting to cover, and I got to be honest, I'd probably rather cover the parish council meeting than watch Carolina and Arizona in the Hall of Fame game. That's just me.
Isn't it like Carson Beck versus, I don't even remember who's starting for the Panthers.
I don't even know. Yeah, I think
they're not playing starters. I will say they'll probably introduce the Hall
Kenny
of Fame
Pickett versus Carson Beck. That's what. Yeah.
Pickett's a decent player, but they'll probably introduce the Hall of Famers at halftime. I'll try to tune in for that. I think I got a soccer practice to run to, but I'll see if I can. Because just to see, if they speak, if Drew says anything. Jeff Duncan is on his way up there. I think he just landed in Cleveland. He's going to drive down, so he'll be at the game tonight too.
Okay. Hart says people shamed Mickey for the Chase Young contract, and months later it's looked like a massive bargain. I agree. I mean, these contracts, they evolve, and again, no player wants to be the first. You don't want to be the trendsetter. I mean, you look at, there are some running backs out there that now they're not going to give Bijan money, but there are some running backs out there salivating because Bijan got $25 million a year, which we have not seen from running backs. Even the good running backs were getting like $13, $15 million a year. I mean, I can't remember exactly what a Chen's contract is, but it was something like, isn't it like 4 years, $52 million or something along those lines?
Like yeah.
So
right,
I mean,
12, 13. Yeah.
Exactly. So these guys are salivating now that Bijan's contract got done. So it just goes to show you. By the way, there it is. you got to Lance. You hurt his feelings. Brian Cavett wants to know your honest opinion on something that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but give it to him anyway. Zach Wilson versus Spencer Rattler, and he also wants to know, second part of a question, is Delp going to be more like an H-back getting some fullback reps, or is that going to be Maliki?
I will answer the second one first. I don't know that we're going to see that all that often. I mean, the Saints did not use a fullback last year much. It's possible. I'm going to guess if that's the case, then Delp is probably that guy. I haven't been out at practice enough to tell you they haven't been doing that or anything. I don't know for sure, but I don't remember seeing that a lot last year. So we'll see. It's definitely possible they get creative at times, especially if they're going to be in 3 tight end sets. You could see them line up all over the place. But Delp you got to love that guy's versatility at that position. That's why they drafted him.
Hell, keep 5 tight ends. Go find another one. Keep that one too.
Tight ends are good players, man. Could you bring Taysom back?
I mean, he already said he wasn't coming back. Sean's going to go sign. Why? That's another thing. I know you listen to the show Monday. I mean, not that my ADHD can't help this, but it's a story when a coach is exploring the possibility of bringing on a player. I mean, that's a story. I mean, maybe in Denver because you have nothing else to write about at training camp, but really that's a national story. It was all over the place. Exploring the possibility of bringing a 36-year-old with bad knees.
What would be an equivalent player if Kellen Moore said something? They were exploring the possibility of bringing in. I'm trying to think of an equivalent player. Let's just say Keenan Allen. Okay. We would all write that story. I mean,
in New Orleans.
Yeah, but
it was all over the place. It's not like NFL Network and everything. I don't know.
They're looking for stuff to write now, too.
I guess. Hart says put UBN out there at the 5th tight end. I mean, you want to talk about bed. I mean, UBN's 46 years old, too. So I'm just saying. Bill says his wish for the year is, and speaking of Taysom Hill, because he didn't do this last year, when you need a yard, get a damn yard.
Yeah, that short yardage is a big problem last year. I think they hope Etienne will help with that. Maybe that last comment was onto something. Maybe you'll see a tight end lineup and kind of bowl his way in there. It's Matavau or Delp to try to. I don't know how much they're going to want to sneak Shuck. He did a little bit last year, but they got to protect him.
Maybe I'm just biased against Maliki because I can't say his last name, and I'm hoping he doesn't make the team, so I don't have to say it.
It's not that hard.
It's just like I couldn't. 4 years, I couldn't say Brissy, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave me grief for that.
Sometimes
I know. Well, I don't screw up names when I'm live on the air, but for some reason, two Saints I can't pronounce their names. Anyway, moving on because I know you got to get rolling here this morning, and we're going to have a really long show if we don't really get moving because we still got to make predictions. But of course, we're going to talk about Drew Brees, and it's Drew Brees weekend. And the title slide here, Brees has an insanely long resume. That's putting it mildly. Where would Drew Brees rank? And I'm not asking for an exact number, but give me an area of where Drew Brees would rank on your all-time NFL players list. I've said this in the open. I don't know how much you heard, but I may have stopped talking about it by the time you got on. But I think if you don't have him at least in your top 20, you need to stop making a list and go feed pigeons on Sunday.
Yeah, I would say he's in the top 20. This is just really, really difficult in football because how do you compare the greatness of Drew Brees to the greatness of Lawrence Taylor or, some great left tackle? I'm blanking on a good
It's name. Hard. Willie Roaf.
Yeah, there you go. I just don't. I think you could say, is he a top 5 quarterback of all time? I would put him in the top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
Well, there's no question. That's true.
So if you do that, then you say, well, how many quarterbacks are you going to put in your top 20? It's the most important position on the field. You could argue that you should easily have 5 quarterbacks in your top 20. At the same time, there's like 10 position groups. So if you have 5 quarterbacks, you're going to leave some position group completely out of your top 20. Like, are we leaving all the kickers out? Okay, fine. Are we leaving all the safeties out? Are we leaving all the tight ends out? Like, I just don't know. it's just really hard to
There
say.
is no safety on that's ever played this game that had the impact on a football team that Drew Brees had on his.
And that's why I'm saying I think it would be fair to have 5 quarterbacks in your top 20, and that's why I'd put Drew in the top 20. I did hear you say briefly, as I logged on, that you might put him top 10. That's a lot harder argument to me.
I mean, I would actually have to go through and like someone tell me, and I'm not saying you tell me, I'm just saying someone would have to tell me this is my top 10. It's like when Gabe and I, when I'll make a blanket statement, I think Chris Olave is a top 15 player. He'll tell me, well, here's my top 15. And I'd say, okay, I would put Olave above maybe number 14 and number 15 or whatever, or maybe I wouldn't even say that. But at least you give me your top 15 and you make a valid argument. I'm saying you probably could make a valid argument for the top 10, but I don't think you can make a valid argument for not being in the top 20. That's where I'm at, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, you almost have to sit down and go, okay, well, how many receivers? Like Jerry Rice has got to be in there, right?
Yeah, for sure, no question.
How many other receivers do you want in there? That's an impact position. Who's next on that? Is Randy Moss next on that list? I don't know who's next on that list.
Is Randy Moss a more? I mean, again, it's hard to compare apples to oranges. I get it, but let's just say, and I'm not saying Randy Moss is the second best wide receiver of all time. He might be. I mean, you go through and think about it, and we could discuss that one day. But let's just say that he is. Would you put Randy Moss ahead of Drew Brees all-time players? I think no, hell no, you don't.
And then you get into, okay, what about Anthony Munoz? There's a good left tackle. That guy was a legend.
Okay.
Larry Allen, Jonathan Ogden, some of these tackles. How do you compare them to Drew Brees? I don't know.
Hard to.
So
that's why I'm like, these arguments are kind of silly in the grand scheme. It's a lot easier to do this in a sport like baseball or basketball where you can kind of compare apples to oranges to some extent. It's harder, I guess, in baseball. You talk about a pitcher or against a hitter or whatever.
Hitters is hard. I mean, so
but basketball,
you almost have to predetermine, okay, the most important positions on the field are quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, defensive end, and cornerback. And so I want those all represented in my top 10. Okay. Well,
I mean, I'd probably have like a Lawrence Taylor ahead of Drew Brees, probably.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice would certainly be ahead of Drew Brees. But when you talk, I mean, again, I don't want to go through all of them, but there's no way anybody could say, I got 20 players better than Drew. I mean, he was 32. Gabe was telling me earlier, and I didn't go through, and I'm definitely not going to click on it now, but Bleacher Report's list of their top 1,000 or whatever. Drew Brees is number 32. There aren't 31 better plays in the history of the NFL than Drew Brees. There just is not.
No, I tend to agree with you. Just on the face of it, it seems like that. But again, it's a hard comparison to make.
All right, Luke had a thing this morning, and I want to get into my own list of 4 kind of moments, I guess. But some of these numbers that Lance, and I don't want to talk again. I don't want to talk about all of them. I'm just going to pick 1 or 2 to talk about because I want people to go to NOLA.com/Saints and actually read this stuff because it's fantastic. But one of the things, here's a number for you. 33,355. That is the gap, and I'm quoting Luke here. That's the gap between career passing yardage between Brees and Fran Tarkenton. And Fran Tarkenton was a really, really, really good quarterback. And that's the gap between Brees and Tarkenton is roughly the same as the gap between Tarkenton and Sid Luckman. That gap accounts for more passing yards, those two combined, than 2024 NFL MVP Josh Allen has put up in 8 seasons as a starter. I mean, it just goes show you how Drew's numbers are just insane. I mean, 18 players in the NFL in NFL history recorded at least one season with a completion percentage north of 70%. Only one player did it more than twice. Drew. You talk about his, and I don't know if this is on this list. I'm assuming it is, but 5,000-yard seasons. I know this because I did this story about a year ago. But 5,000-yard seasons, there have been, I think, 15 of them, and Drew has 5 of them. I think only Brady has more than, other than Brees. Only Brady has more than one. It's just you talk about all the numbers, and I'm not saying Drew Brees is better than Tom Brady, but there's definitely an argument that can be made. Again, I'm not going that far. I'm not going that far out on a limb, but you could make an argument when you look at numbers and to throw for 88,000 or 89,000, whatever the hell yards that Brady and Brees have had, and Brees had 80,000 plus. Just insane.
Yeah, some of those numbers, and it is worth going to read Luke's story about that, because sometimes you have to read it a couple times to go
You
exactly the impact of what he's trying to say. I tend to look at history in any sport. You have to contextualize it with the era that the guy played in, because we talk about 5,000 yard seasons. Okay, Mahomes has had a couple of them now. Brady had a couple of them. Drew had 5. Nobody else has more than 2.
It's insane.
Someday in the NFL, that somebody else may get to 5, right?
I doubt
It may
but
happen
maybe.
in our lifetimes. I don't know.
Maybe because there's going to be an 18-game season coming up,
Right.
so it
Well,
will make it a
and
little
just
bit
because
easier.
things are cyclical, and the passing game will come back
For
and
sure.
become a big deal, and you'll see all these yards again. I think that you have to compare guys to their era. Just like it's amazing if a baseball player hits 350 these days. Used to be somebody hit 350 every season. It's a lot harder to do that now with how good the defense is, how good the pitching is, and the fact that guys are swinging more for power. There's, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's just different to do that now than it used to be. Just like it's different now. That you mentioned Fran Tarkenton, player who was way ahead of his era in terms of passing yards and things like that. I mean, he sort of reset the standard. But that's what Drew did too. Nobody was putting up the completion percentage numbers that Drew did.
Right.
Now you see guys do it from time to time. Nobody was putting up the yardage that he did. Now you see guys do it from time to time. But he was the first one. This was revolutionary in the NFL. And that, to me, is the biggest argument for he's a top 10, top 20 player of all time. He revolutionized the game, along with, Sean Payton, and there were other great players on those teams and everything. But Drew is really the first guy you think of.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't necessarily say that I'm taking Drew Brees with the, like Lance says. I don't even necessarily think that this is not my top 3 quarterbacks of all time, because numbers don't tell an entire story, but they do tell a lot of the story. But Lance says, and look, when you talk in general across the board about who the best 3 quarterbacks are, the average Joe fan, at least today, are probably going to, for the most part, because they think about what have you done for me lately. Peyton, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Lance says it's much tighter than folks want to admit. He can see an argument for all 3. He's taken Drew. I got to be honest. I don't know which one I would take. I'd have to actually have a discussion that I have never had. But it's not ridiculous to say that Drew Brees is the greatest quarterback of all time. Again, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but it's not ridiculous to say that. You could make a case for it.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for it.
I mean, neither you nor I would do that, but
had he won another Super Bowl, I think that case is a lot stronger.
I agree with that.
And like, let's be honest, like, when you think back to that game in 2019 where, okay, well, if the referee makes the correct call, maybe Drew Brees does win a second Super Bowl and he is the greatest of all time. At the same time, he threw a pick in overtime of that game too. He had a chance to go win it anyway.
Yeah, for
sure. Like there's things that you can say about, he could have, and then Brady wins these Super Bowls because Pete Carroll didn't run the ball on the goal line and things like that. I mean, like, these little moments echo in the reputation and the legacy of these players forever. But I do think it is a weekend to celebrate Drew. It is a weekend to honor his greatness, and exactly where he ranks really shouldn't factor too much into that feeling.
And I think this is a great way to put it, Bill. Great way to put it. Drew is number 1 in his heart. That's all he can say. I think, and that's a great way to put it. I mean, Adam says, think about this. Drew would probably have 7 to 8 rings on the page. I don't necessarily think that's true necessarily, but you could, again, it's a valid opinion. Tom probably wouldn't have any on that. I definitely wouldn't agree with. Tom probably wouldn't have any on the Saints. I'll say this. I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it 101. Here's one. We talk about, there are a couple negatives. I do have a couple of negatives in my book about Drew Brees, and I wish he would have retired a couple of years sooner, because when Tom Brady was leaving the Patriots, he was not 98%, not 92%. Tom Brady was 100% coming to the Saints had Drew Brees retired instead of going to the Bucs. And there's no doubt in my mind, had Tom Brady come to the Saints, if Drew Brees retired a couple years earlier, the Saints would have won another Super Bowl. Sorry. That's, again, opinion, speculation. There's no way to know for sure. That's my opinion. And so you can't say that he would have never won a Super Bowl with the Saints, because I think that's kind of a crazy.
My last thought on this is, you don't need to disparage Tom Brady to celebrate Drew Brees. Come on, what are we doing here?
That's
They were both
exactly.
all-time greats. Can we just leave it at that?
Right. Aaron Michael 318 says Drew is number one, right behind Brady, Montana, and Manning. Fair enough. I mean, again, that's I think any of those guys you could say. Paul Laporte. I still say Joe Montana is the best quarterback of all time. You know, I'm an old fart. I get it. Paul Laporte says nobody can throw the ball in tippy toes better than Drew Brees. That's absolutely true. Because he did that a whole lot, for sure. What are your favorite? I'm gonna wait to save my. I have 4 specific moments that I want to get into about Brees, and I know this show's gonna be a little bit longer because Gabe's gonna come on. He's gonna give his predictions. We got UBN's predictions for the AFC East and NFC East, and I want to get to yours. But spend a couple minutes just talking about your favorite Brees moments. If you go back to when Drew Brees came here in 2006, you were like. I mean, you certainly weren't living in New Orleans yet. What were you doing in 2006? Were you still in college then? You weren't still in college then, were you?
I graduated college in the spring of 06. So
okay.
That would have been right before, or actually
that's just
right
crazy
as
to
Drew
think
was
that.
signing here, before he played here.
That's crazy.
So he was living in I was living in Joplin, Missouri that year, or right after college, I should say. I spent the summer in Florida, internship. When the Saints won their Super Bowl, I was at a bar in San Luis Obispo with my wife. So I know you got a guy from San Luis Obispo.
I do have a St. Louis Obispo fan.
You got to say the S. You talk pronunciation because the next word starts with the vowel, so you say the S.
San Luis Obispo.
San Luis Obispo, yeah.
Well.
That's the rule. See, I've lived enough places to pick up on this stuff. That's all.
I'm sorry if I screw that up. I hope I don't have to play-by-play that shit. But go ahead.
SLO. We just call it SLO.
Okay.
So that's all right.
He does too.
Honestly, like, I just remember how fun those Saints teams were to watch, because as someone who grew up, I was a Cowboys fan growing up, and then I kind of grew out of that and didn't, I watched the NFL, but it's weird. I was one of those guys who like, who's on my fantasy team? Let me watch that game, sort of thing. And then you get into the red zone and things like that. But at a certain point, you just, hey, I just want to turn on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and see a good game. And it turned into, all of a sudden, the Saints went from a team you just never thought about to, oh God, the Saints are on. I'm going to sit down and watch this. Let me get a beer, let me get the popcorn, and let me watch this. And that, to me, is also part of the legacy of Drew. He turned the Saints into must-see TV for so many people around the country that never before, like I said, I mean, I'm not going to say I never watched a Saints game, but it just wasn't a team you thought about as someone who didn't live here, as just kind of a general NFL fan. They were just another team kind of out there in the mix. And if your team was playing them, you'd watch. But other than that, it was just it's whoever. Drew changed that, and Sean Payton changed that. And, to me, I think of the shootout with the Giants against Eli Manning and the Giants that the Saints won. And honestly, like, because I moved here in 2017, a lot of my memories are later in his career. Of course, I remember the Super Bowl, but like, you say you wish he had retired a couple years sooner. Probably should have retired at least a year sooner. But my God, did he have some good games really late in his career. And he seemed to have this way of rising to the occasion. Like when he broke the NFL's all-time yardage record, it was on a bomb to Traquan Smith, like a 70.
That's one of my 4 things. Yeah.
I mean, like, come on, man. Who breaks the record with
62 yards?
Yeah, other guys break the record of like, oh, there's a 7-yard out pattern, and okay, that ticked him over the record. Let's stop the game. Guy throws a 62-yard bomb to Traquan Smith when he didn't have any arm strength left.
Exactly.
By the way. And he's still just like, what he would do late in his career when you clearly could tell he couldn't push the ball down the field. Which, think about that. For a guy who excels and made his career on the chess match of where are the defenders going to be, where are my receivers going to be, when can I beat them, you have to use the whole field to do that. Late in his career, he didn't have anything beyond 30 yards downfield, and he was still beating people. So to me, that's the greatness of Drew.
There's no doubt about it. By the way, Chris Crump, great, says we're having a great show. He's having knee replacement on Tuesday. Saints looking good. We wish you nothing but the best. Hope to see you on Monday before you get the knee replacement. If you can't, we'll be thinking about you. I hope everything goes well, and let us know what happens when you come back. We'll be here waiting for you. Sav says if we had a defense in those Spagnuolo and Rob Ryan years, we would have had a couple more rings for sure. I mean, people forget sometimes because I know I'll put them out of my memory. I did a My first jaunt at a daily Saints show was 2015 on these same bat channels for this same bat company, the Black and Gold Today show. In 2015, it wasn't that much fun because the Saints were 7-9, and they actually kind of stunk.
The 7-9 years, man.
Three of them in a row.
Even those 7-9 years, the Saints were fun to watch.
Well, some of the games they were fun to watch. Not always. Rocky says if Peyton Brees never came here, we'd still be looking for a Super Bowl. I mean, that's probably true, right? I mean, obviously you can't say that for sure because who knows who they would have got. But if you keep following in the same footsteps of your franchise history, you say there's a decent chance that's true.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt.
Tedders is here. Good morning. Yeah, so I mean, look, I'm going to come back to if y'all want to talk about Brees, I promise you we're going to come back to this, but we got to get to our predictions because Zach's got to be out of here this morning in about 8 minutes, so we got to get rolling. So don't go anywhere. We're going to make our predictions on the AFC and NFC East, and when we're done, I'm going to come back and give you my top 4 moments and ask y'all what you think about Drew Brees' best moments. So go ahead, think about him now. You can give us your best moments. We're going to start out with our AFC East predictions. I'm probably going to cut out and make shorts of this, or I'm going to make shorts of our predictions in some sort of fashion. I'm going to start with our AFC East predictions. I'll put yours on the screen first. And the way we're doing this is we're putting them in the order which we think they will finish. And then you got to give us an over or under based on what DraftKings has their over under right now. Zach, you're going with the public. In fact, Gabe, if you want to put the poll question back up, we'll throw it up there for a minute, and then I'll give my prediction in a little bit. But the question this morning was, which of these 4 teams will have the best season? Buffalo Bills, type in the number 1. New England, type in the number 2. Dallas, type in the number 3. Philadelphia, type in the number 4. You got Buffalo winning the AFC East. You think they're over. You think New England's over 10.5. Both Buffalo and New England, their number's 10.5. You got them both over. You got the Jets over 5.5. And you got the poor Miami Dolphins under 4.5. What you thinking in the AFC East?
It's just a division of haves and have-nots. I mean, is there another division that has a split even remotely close to top 2, bottom 2 here? I don't think so. So it's going to come down to those Bills-Patriots games. I'm not super confident in this. I mean, a lot of it is the Patriots have a slightly tougher schedule. Actually, they have a slightly tougher schedule than the Bills. They have a way tougher schedule than what New England had last year. Way tougher. And so I think that catches up with them a little bit. I do really believe in Drake May. I think he's the real deal. I think that offense is going to be really good. I think the Patriots defense will be better than the Bills. But based on the schedule, I'm taking the Bills in like a tiebreaker scenario. Maybe both go 12-5, both go 11-6, something like that, or one 12-5, one 11-6. And I think the key thing for the Bills is just Josh Allen's health. If he can stay on the field, which he has to this point in his career, and that's why I have faith in it. He's just the guy I trust to get it done at the end of the game, at the end of the season. They had a rough patch last year, and they could never catch back up to New England. But I do believe they may have been playing better than New England by the end of the year. And as long as Josh Allen's on the field, which I know it's crazy to say New England made the Super Bowl, but New England also caught the Broncos without their starting quarterback. Yep. And that makes a difference too. And I think Allen he's just that dude, man. And I'll ride with him.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw my predictions on the screen now. I agree with you somewhat. And when I say somewhat, I mean this. I think this division's going to be not that good. I just don't think they're very good. I don't think there's an elite, and I know this is crazy to say with Buffalo in there, but I think Buffalo's going to win exactly 10 games. I have them at 10-7 winning the division, and I think the over is way too easy. It's like fruit hanging off a tray. I got to grab it. Oh, wait, I can't reach it. I think the Patriots take a big step back, but I don't think back far enough to go below the Jets. Although I do think the Jets, like you, I think they're better than 5.5 wins. I think they're going in the right direction. We'll see. I got them at maybe like 7 wins. I got New England. Wouldn't surprise me at all if New England's like an 8-win team. If New England goes 8-9, would not surprise me at all. Miami's just absolutely god awful. I'm with you. I don't like taking under 4.5, but I'm going to do it here because I'm with you.
They could win 2.
They may win 1 or 2.
Really bad.
I mean,
they
they're
played the Jets twice, so that's but they're going to be really bad.
but even that, I think the Dolphins go 0-6 in division play. Who else are they going to beat? I mean,
I don't like the Jets that much. I think they'll get the Jets once. Aaron
we'll
Glenn's
see.
in over his head to me. We'll see.
That's true, but
I will say
I think the winner of this division wins 10 games. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm a little wrong about New England, but I just don't think. I think they're going to have their issues, and I think reality is going to bite them.
The flip side of what I said is if Josh Allen does miss any significant amount of time, the Bills, the rest of that roster is not good, man.
I agree.
If he misses even 4 or 5 games, they could miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
he is more important to any team than any player in the NFL.
And Gabe and I talked about this the other day, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but you cannot understand the rookie head coach thing. I mean, to me, Joe Brady is going to have his moments. I mean, again, we saw Kellen Moore have his moments last year. I think you're talking about, and not just is he a rookie head coach, but he's a young rookie head coach. So I just think that I think that matters, at least in year one.
Could be. I think they upgraded. I don't like Sean McDermott, but
I'm not I wasn't the biggest Sean McDermott fan either. But anyway, I think Buffalo does end up winning this division, but I think they win it by default. I don't think. Again, I think New England takes a step back. I think Buffalo has. It wouldn't shock me at all if Buffalo won 9 games and won the division. Maybe the AFC East becomes the NFC South. We'll see. But look, I'm not as high on Josh Allen as everybody else is. That's just where
I think he's great. I just think the rest of the roster is pretty iffy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. All right, let's get to the NFC East here. Zach, you got the Dallas Cowboys over. Not only do you have them over 9.5, but you got them winning the NFC East over the Philadelphia Eagles. You got Philadelphia under 10.5 wins. You got the Washington Commanders in third, over 7.5 wins. You got the New York Giants, everybody's darling, but you got them in last place and under 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, I start to look around at the Cowboys, and I know the old, and I'm not saying they're going to have a lot of playoff success necessarily, but I put a long shot bet on them to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. This is a pretty complete team. They've got a good O-line. They've got a good quarterback. They've got good skill position players. They have really reworked that defense. Their pass rush has become a good, solid pass rush. Their coverage unit has become good. They are going to have to probably win some shootouts, but I look at this team and say, why couldn't they? I mean, and like you look at Philadelphia, meanwhile, Philadelphia regressed last year. They always seem to have some kind of drama. Now you took A.J. Brown away from Jalen Hurts. How much does that team become, pretty one-dimensional as far as having to run the football to win? I'm feeling the Cowboys. I don't know. I still think the playoffs, but
you ready for the moment of the show? Me too. I got the Cowboys too, and I think the Cowboys are one of those. Hardly ever are the Dallas Cowboys underrated, okay? Because they're the Dallas Cowboys. So when you talk about who they are, it's just hard to underrate them. And I think this is a case where they are underrated. We'll come back to this. In fact, when Zach takes off, I'm probably going to come right back to this. But and I know you got to roll, but I agree with you. I think the Cowboys, they certainly have enough offensive firepower. I'm worried about their run game a little bit, obviously, as I have been for the past couple of years. But I think their defense is good enough for them to win this division. And I agree with you about Philadelphia. They continue a regression. I'm not high on either the Giants or the Commanders. I think both of those go unders. I know I have 6 unders, I think, already. But 6 out of 8 unders, which means I'll have more overs later. But I think
Commanders feel like a bounce back team to me. That's why I have them going over. I think that's a 9-8 team. Their defense is going to hold them back. But man, if Jaden Daniels stays healthy, they're not going to be bad. I
don't think they're going to be bad.
Too good for them to be bad.
I have them right at 7 wins.
And just like last year, it was pretty easy to see them regressing. This year, I think they bounce back a little bit. They're not going to be as good as they were 2 years ago, but I could see them winning even 9 or 10 and sneaking into the playoff maybe. The only other thing I'll say is last year, we're all kind of laughing at Dallas for Brian Schottenheimer and Clayton Adams. Turned out to be a pretty good duo, man. It turned out to be a pretty good duo. And you look around that team, and they've got just about everything I don't know that it translates to a lot of playoff success when you talk about facing the Rams and the Seahawks and whoever comes out of the NFC North. But I really like their chance to rack up some wins in the regular season.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And look, I'm on the fence. Washington's not a team I would bet either way. I'm doing it because we're deciding that we're going to. I decided you didn't like this, but we're going to pick an over under for every team, and you could flip a coin with the Commanders. They win 7 or they win 8. It wouldn't surprise me either way. I'm kind of the same with the Giants. I think they win 7 or they win 8. Wouldn't surprise me either way. But we'll see what happens. Zach, I know you got to roll. Thank you for spending Thursday. Next week, we're going to do the NFC and AFC West, which should be a lot of fun for UBN.
All right. Sounds good.
See you then. Zach Ewing, everybody. I know he's got to run, so I hate to cut him off there. And we're going to talk again. We're going to talk more about Drew Brees in just a minute. But look, you can throw the poll back up there because I'm going to give my opinion now, and we can go ahead and close it. But my answer is, I think it's Dallas. I mean, I really think that the Dallas Cowboys are not getting. And I know y'all hate Dallas, so God forbid you take the Dallas Cowboys. But I am going to take of these 4 teams, and I guess you have to define what means best season, right? I mean, what's theoretically a better season? If the Bills win 11 games and Dallas wins 10, but Dallas goes to the NFC Championship game and the Bills go to the divisional round and lose. What is the better season? So I guess for these purposes, and Gabe brought this up and when we're talking about the show today and we're talking about show planning, maybe we should say which of these 4 teams will have a better regular season record. And of course, it could be a tie. But maybe we'll find ways to break the tie. I think Dallas is going to have a better record. I think Dallas is going to win like 11 games, maybe 12. I just think they're that much. They're going to take that next step. Dak is getting towards the end of his career. He's not there yet. He's still got a couple of years left. But I think that Dak knows where he is in his career, and I think he's ready to have. He's still going to be Dak, right? We think about what happened with Drew Brees and towards the end, and I talked about this. I'm not going through this again. But where Drew Brees was at the end of the season, when will that happen? When does that happen for other quarterbacks? For some quarterbacks, it happens at age 36, 37. For some quarterbacks these days, it happens at age 40. Live TV. How old is Dak Prescott? I don't even know the answer to that. It's got to be 35-ish, right? 33. Okay, so he's just so he's still got 3-4 maybe good years left before he maybe starts a little slide. I just think that this offense and these wide receivers for the Dallas Cowboys, and I agree with Zach about the coaching staff did a much better job than I expected. So my answer is the Dallas Cowboys, and I'll ask this for one last time before we close it out. But here's your last chance to answer, at least live. Which of these 4 teams will have the best, we'll say best regular season? Type in the number 1 if you think the answer is the Buffalo Bills. Type in the number 2 if you think the answer is the New England Patriots. Type in the number 3 if you think the answer is the Dallas Cowboys. And type in the number 4 if you think the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll say this again. I'm going to bring Gabe on in a minute, but I got to get back to Drew Brees too. I know we're running along today. It's going to be a long show. It is what it is. I'm going to say this again. The Buffalo Bills are by far that's the cop-out pick. And I'm not saying you're either going to be wrong. I'm not arguing that you'll be wrong. But that's the easiest pick to make, right? You can sit here and say, oh, the New England Patriots are going to regress. And I think they will regress. And you go to the NFC East and you're like, well, all people talk about it. How great the AFC East quarterbacks are. AFC is so much better than the NFC. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. I know this. Who won the Super Bowl last year? NFC. Who won the Super Bowl the year before that? The NFC. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. Zach, we could talk about Josh Allen being this player that y'all think he is all day long. But what happens when he gets into the playoffs? And look, people that think these players are so great, like my son thinks Josh Allen is the greatest thing since air conditioning. And a lot of people his age do. If you're younger than 35 or 40, you think Josh Allen is just so most likely you think Josh Allen is just the bee's knees, right? He's just so fantastic and so fun to watch. What has Josh Allen done in his career? Squat. I don't get it. I never understood, and
maybe he'll win a Super Bowl this year and he'll prove me wrong. But right now, he's not proving me wrong because every year he does something stupid in the playoffs. Just saying. You go back to the year that he lost to the Chiefs and say that he just got beat by Mahomes and whatever. But he still got beat by Mahomes. Mahomes was better than he is. Mahomes is still better than he is. Gabe closes out the poll. Final results. Buffalo Bills win it. It doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is I'm surprised it did not get a majority of the votes. That's the wrong way to say it. I'm surprised they didn't get more than 50% of the votes. They did get the majority of the votes. They got 41%. I thought it would be Bills like 60%. I thought it would be like Patriots 20-ish%. Eagles like 17%, and Dallas would get one vote me because everybody hates Dallas. But it didn't turn out that way. Not too far off. Bills got 41%, Patriots 29%, Cowboys 18%, Eagles got 12%. So, again, you can take the poll down now. Yeah. Look, and again, I'll use my son as an example who's 28 years old. I'm not dissing on Josh Allen because I'm just trying to make an argument. I honestly don't think he's nearly as good as everybody else thinks he is. I mean, we could sit here and have a debate one day in the near future if we want about who the best quarterback in the game is. But I mean, if Josh Allen retired tomorrow, would he be in the Hall of Fame? I mean, it's a legitimate question. I mean, I know a lot of people say, of course he would be. Maybe he would be. But all y'all talk about is, and not all y'all, but a lot of y'all talk about Super Bowls all the time. Can you be in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback these days if you've never even been to the Super Bowl? It's not like he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Never been in the Super Bowl. The only time he's ever been in the Super Bowl, and if he's been to one, is with a ticket or a pass. Never played in one. I'm not certain he's ever going to play in one. I'm not saying he won't, because I think the odds are that one day he will play in a Super Bowl. And I guess I should go, if I'm going to talk about this, I should go back to the AFC East. But my opinion of Josh Allen, we're talking about quarterbacks today because we're talking about certainly the greatest quarterback that's ever played for the New Orleans Saints. And in my opinion, one of the 5 best quarterbacks that's ever played the game. Is Josh Allen better than Drew Brees? No. Today's not. Maybe, what's Josh Allen? And I looked this up live. What's he, 30? He's got to be inching up on 30 if he's not. He is 30. How long is he going to be able to continue to use his feet as much as he uses them now? Now, the one difference I'll give him between Lamar Jackson, I'm not trying to hate on Lamar Jackson, who's won 2 MVPs. But the difference between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen is I do think that Josh Allen will be slightly more effective when he's not able to use his feet than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, obviously, it's a huge part of Josh Allen's game. That's going to be interesting to see as we go forward. I'm just saying I don't get it. I never have understood. Do I think he's a really good quarterback? Clearly. It's just like when I talk about GOAT arguments. I can say that someone's overrated and still say that they're great players. I mean, I keep using this example, but it's the best way that I can explain what I mean. I don't think LeBron's the GOAT. I think LeBron is highly overrated. However, and I have to make sure that people understand this. Of course, he's one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. You could still be overrated. 2 things can be true. You can be overrated and still be one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. And I know we got a lot of comments, and I purposefully left the comments off my screen because I wanted to get through my point. I want to look through some of these. Let's see. Charles says Dallas 11-12 wins. Can you get some of, I don't know what you mean by that. I literally don't. Oh, what am I drinking? You don't agree. Well, I mean, that's why they call them predictions. That's why they call them picks. Everybody's got picks, right? I mean, you could sit here on August the 6th, just like last year. I did not say this, but had I said last year at this time that Seattle was going to win the Super Bowl, that Seattle was going to beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, had I sat here on August 6, 2025 and said, Seattle Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl and they're going to beat the New England Patriots, people would have called some hotline and tried to have me checked in somewhere. You know how much crap I would have got on social media? Like, you have no, as it is, I get, you don't have no idea what you're talking about. And then when I'm right, because I'm not always right, because I go back to the post when I'm wrong. But I also go back to them when I'm right. Who that daddy? Live in Frisco. I'm right. Which one am I right about? I know I'm going back in time. That's 8 minutes old. Ryan Shea. Dallas wins the tiebreaker over Washington at 10-7. Yeah, I love Jaden Daniels. I don't like their coaching staff, and I think they got very lucky year before last. Ryan, you're 42. That's the same difference. If I said under 40, okay, you're 2 years over 40. People of your generation, Allen, he says, quote, all Allen has done is carry an underwhelming roster and coaching staff. I completely disagree. I think that the Buffalo Bills have had a really good, Gabe says, yeah, they had NFL rushing leader in James Cook. Yeah, terrible, awful. I mean, not only that, they had Stephon Diggs in his prime, who I don't necessarily love Stephon Diggs, but in his prime, he was pretty damn good. They've had a lot of other really good players, and they've had some defenses that, I mean, Gabe, do me a favor. Pull up the defensive ranks for Buffalo the first 5 years of Josh Allen's career. 5, 6. They were really good. I have no idea what I don't know what the number of rank is, but they were really good. And see, here we go. I'm not saying Josh Allen isn't a really good quarterback, Earl. When they do win, it's basically, see, when you like a player, and this is another thing, media hypes up. I'm in the media, I know. Media hypes up a player to make you think certain things that aren't necessarily true. Monday Night Football wants you to watch the Buffalo Bills because of Josh Allen. They're not going to hype up whatever Epinesa. They're not going to hype up James Cook. They're not going to hype up left tackles. They're not going to hype up whoever. No, they're going to hype up Josh Allen. So instantly you automatically think of Josh Allen. Again, I'm not saying he's not a really good football player, because he is. But I don't think my point is, again, two things can be true. I think he's overrated, but I think he's a really good football player. Both of those things can be true. Sean says Denver may have had a better vote for AFC. This is not AFC. It's not vote in the AFC. It's the teams that we're talking about today. And that's how it's going to be when we do next week, the West. Denver will be in there, obviously. Which of the four teams that we're doing today, we're previewing today? We're not previewing Denver today. They couldn't be in there. And Ryan, I'm not a Super Bowl end all. Absolutely, 100%. If you've listened to me more than 10 times, you know that I hate that as an argument. However, I don't like it as an argument, but I also don't think you can completely discount it either. And if you've never been to a Super Bowl, you could keep telling me that so-and-so's carrying a football team. Well, he ain't carrying them that much because they've never been there under him. So don't tell me somebody's carrying a franchise if he hasn't carried them to at least the Super Bowl. Gabe says, here are the rankings of the Buffalo Bills defense his first 5 years. First year, 18th. Okay, they didn't do that much. But then they were second in the NFL. They were 16th. They were average. And then after that, they were the best defense in the NFL in his fourth year. And then second best again. So 3 of the first 5 years in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills had either the best defense in the NFL, not in the AFC East, not in the AFC, but in the NFL, or the second best defense in the NFL. So don't tell me Josh Allen is carrying a football team. When you got the best defense in the NFL or the second best defense in the NFL, and you can't even get your team to the Super Bowl, that's to me saying something. It is. It's saying something. I mean, Adam and I don't always agree. He thinks Josh Allen is very athletically gifted. Besides one MVP, should be 2 MVPs. I don't know. He hasn't accomplished anything. It may be too strong to say he hasn't accomplished everything. Gabe says, besides the obvious, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Just saying. People take things the wrong. How many times do I have to say this? When someone doesn't agree with you, obviously the numbers are they don't like when you talk about this. Josh Allen's fantastic. What are you talking about, idiot? And then they stop watching. See what I'm saying? Saying. It is what it is. I said 35-40, Ryan. Go back and roll the tape back. I said if you're younger than 35 or 40, you're 42. Whoop-de-doo. Just saying. Hart says, ESPN today, well, God, it's like Google. If Google said it, it's got to be true. Hart says, ESPN said that Allen is a lock for Hall of Fame. He thinks it's wrong. Many will say Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow are the 4 best quarterbacks in the league. He thinks that right. That is right. Both can be true. I mean, if Allen has, let's say he plays 6-7 more years, 6-7. See what I did there? I did that on accident. Do we think Josh Allen's going to keep playing much past when he can't run at all anymore? I don't. I think that Josh Allen is a 6 or 7, maybe 8 years more kind of guy. So let's say Lewis has gone by his name this year. Oh, Preacher Man, you're back. You're going by your real name. All right, Lewis. I'm glad to know your real name. Salute. Glad you're here, Lewis. But I mean, is Josh Allen in the Hall of Fame? If he has 7 or 8 more years, like he's been having, let's say he has 3 or 4 more years like he's been having, and then he has 4 more really good years, then he's in the Hall of Fame. But you can't say you can say whatever you want, but in my opinion, I am with you, Ryan, and whoever said this before. I think Ryan said this, that the Super Bowl isn't the end-all argument. Well, if that's true, then tell me Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever then. So don't tell me. That can't be both. We can have this debate, and I didn't intend to have this debate this long here, but if you don't go to a Super Bowl, if you don't even take your team to a Super Bowl, especially when you talk about defensive ranks of first, second, and you don't even take your team to a Super Bowl, much less win one, don't tell me you're carrying the football team. It's not true. And you had the league's all-time best rusher last 3 years, Gabe says. 4th, 11th, and 12th. That's pretty damn good. Even in a, quote, down year. 4th, 11th, and 12th. Don't tell me you're carrying a football team and you have second, 1st, 4th, 11th, 12th best defenses in the NFL. You're not carrying your football team. You're certainly not carrying them anywhere that matters. And here we go. Rankings are deceptive. Bullshit. Rankings are not deceptive. When you talk about how good a team is or a unit is, rankings are not deceptive. I'm not an all stats guy. But if you've got the best defense in the NFL, how in the flying flip is that deceptive? It's not. Almost. 2 or 3 seasons ago, their entire defense got injured. And that was I don't give a rat's ass what it is. If they had the best defensive ranking in the NFL, now you could make an argument and say, okay, they weren't necessarily the best defense, but you can't tell me they weren't in the top 5. My point is, you can't tell me that one person's carrying a team if your entire defense is the best unit in the NFL. Again, didn't make the Super Bowl. Didn't make the Super Bowl. I mean, you look at the Drew Brees teams that stunk. Okay, and 7-9 with Drew Brees stinks. They weren't good defenses. They weren't just bad defense. They were historically bad defenses. Historically bad. The last year that Ryan was the defensive coordinator, the Saints were one of the worst defensive units in the history of defenses. Now, if Josh Allen had played on a team like that, you could make an argument. Just the point. I mean, is Josh Allen going to make the Hall of Fame? Probably. If he retired today, he's not making the Hall of Fame. He's not retiring today. If he has some weird injury this year, some fluke injury, I don't wish that on anyone. If he has some fluke injury this year, does Josh Allen make the Hall of Fame? No, I don't think so. Why? Why would he? 30,000 yards? Never went to the Super Bowl? Just saying. I don't want to. That's my whole point of the matter is, again, we got to move on. You can't say a player is carrying a football team when he has all these other players to go with him. You know, take Brady. And I'm not going to sit here and go through all these numbers, but Brady has a much bigger argument of carrying a team than Allen does. Way bigger. You go through some of these, we go through other players. And so, I mean, I saw people bringing up Dan Marino, excuse me. Not much. I don't disagree that Dan Marino was much that different. Anyway, we got to get rolling on this. We spent a lot of time talking about this, way more than I expected. I want to get back to the Drew Brees thing because I expected to spend more time talking about Brees. And you know what? We'll probably talk about Brees again on Monday. So don't worry. There will be more time to talk about Brees after he gets inducted to the Hall. I'll try to put some pictures together. And, I mean, how can you not talk about it? You're the best player in franchise history. You're going to the Hall of Fame as a Saint. Someone who, to me, Drew Brees not only changed the course of this franchise, but legitimately helped change the course of the city. And working in sports and working in news, which I've done throughout my life at different times, and obviously now being a news reporter and working in sports, there are tons of news people who don't understand sometimes. They don't understand the effect that sports has on real life. Obviously, it's a game. And people at the argument, it's a game. It doesn't matter. Does matter. When you think about that Superdome reopening, and obviously Drew Brees wasn't necessarily even the star player in that game. He wasn't. But Drew Brees helped get the Saints on that course to get to that point. And then what happened beyond. And the rebirth of this city as a native New Orleanian, as someone who's spent my entire life here, except for the little time that I went to LSU and, whatever. Never lived anywhere else. Never wanted to live anywhere else. I've had opportunities to live elsewhere, and I've never wanted to live anywhere else. I have been lucky enough, and I've been super lucky, and thank God every day that I've been able to spend basically my entire career doing what I love to do in the city that is better than any other city on planet Earth. And you think about what Drew Brees did to help uplift this town, and it cannot be said enough. It cannot be stressed enough. But you think about how long it took to rebuild. It wasn't a one-year thing. Yeah, maybe 2 years after Katrina, things were starting to feel semi-normal again. But really, logistically, for 5 years, this town was bruised and battered. And, it's hard to believe that was 21 years ago. Coming up on 21 years on a certain host's birthday. Like Lewis said, Brees put us on the map of pro football. Again, it's beyond, and that's the thing, it's beyond a player putting this team on the map. He helped
bring this city back. Had the Saints not come back to New Orleans, and think about the time that they spent in San Antonio and Baton Rouge, and there was a very legitimate chance that the Saints at that time, go back 21 years, go back 20 and a half years, that the Saints were going to move to San Antonio. I really think that Tom Benson more than really considered it. I think he almost wanted to move the Saints to San Antonio. Could you imagine this town without the Saints? I mean, some people can because they don't care at all. But the financial impact that football has in this town cannot be overstated. And it's something that I always try to do, again, as a news and sports guy. That's why I've always said, I think I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I think a sports guy, a person who works in sports can go work in news. But hardly ever, think about it, hardly ever do you see a news person go work in sports. You have to understand the ins and the outs and the nuances of sports to be able to talk about it or write about it. Most news people don't care enough. Not all of them. Most people don't care enough. Sav says he went to every single Saints game for 15 years. That reopening of the Dome game was the loudest he's ever heard. The only thing that I put close to that, and it wasn't nearly on the same amount of time as, and this is because I'm an old fart, January 3rd, 1988. I know the date. This first playoff game in Saints history. Eric Martin, Bobby Hebert, Eric Martin touchdown. That one moment might be louder, but as far as a overall moment of time, yeah. So, look, we could talk about Drew Brees' numbers and Hall of Fame, and so he's being honored, and he's also talking about how this is his. He was also talking about a way for him to say goodbye without getting to say goodbye because his last year was a COVID year. And it's probably why he wanted to come back. Obviously, he had agreed to come back or decided he was coming back before COVID hit. And when he decided that, he probably figured, okay, this will be my goodbye season. And he never really got to have one because there was no one, at first, no one in the Dome, and then hardly anyone in the Dome. So it wasn't the same. And then you go out with the bad day and you throw a couple picks and Jared Cook fumbles, and there you go. Your career's over. And just to think back to that day. But Drew Brees lifted this city up in so many ways. Lewis says, to be honest, Brees is his overarching Manning, his Mr. Saint. Hey, you can't argue that, right? I mean, that's a tough one. Sean says Garrett Hartley's kick to send the Super Bowl is the greatest moment ever in the Dome. I hear you. And I think reopening the Dome, I think that punt, I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings on that. I really do. I have major mixed feelings on it. Because on one hand, what Sean says, I mean, you're going to the Super Bowl. It's the only time you've ever been to the Super Bowl. That kick's sealed it. It didn't send you there. What sent you there is the way your team played throughout. That kick didn't send you there. The kick sealed that you were going. So is it that moment? Or is it the reopening of a place that you grew up with and loved and is your home that reopened when you thought that for a long period of time that maybe it was never going to reopen again? It's a tough one, man. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But again, Drew Brees had everything to do with both of those moments in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you think back, there's a lot of other times. I mean, think about and again, this is a smaller scale, but Saints, Eagles, playoff game that sends the Saints to Chicago in 2006, that same year, the rebuild year. You think about it. What happened? That year, that moment.
and then all the great years that towards the end. Then after they had 3 straight 7-9 seasons, and you think, okay, maybe this era's done, and no, he comes back and does his thing, and he's Drew Brees. You know what? I'm going to save these moments. I've got 4 things that I want to talk about. My 4 favorite moments. Maybe the 4 most important. I have the 4 most important non-2009 moments. I want y'all to think about this. We're going to talk about it on Mono Monday because I want to move on. We got plenty of time to talk about. In fact, I'll put Drew Brees probably in the title slide again. A picture of him with his gold jacket on will probably be on the title slide for Monday. We'll talk about it again then. But Earl, you're 100% right. We don't agree on Josh Allen, but 100% agree on this. Drew is so much more to the city than just a football player. And he talks about, how many times has he said this, that when he and Brittany were thinking about where they were going to go and Miami was courting them, do we 100% believe him that he wasn't going to go to Miami? Had Miami wanted, had Nick Saban wanted Drew Brees? Maybe he did. Had the Dolphins wanted Drew Brees and said, to hell with it, we're going to take the same chance on you that the Saints want to take, would he have still come to New Orleans? He says he wanted to be part of the rebuild. I'm rebuilding my career. The Saints are rebuilding a city. We can be all part of it together. It was meant to be, man. It was meant to be. Sean says also a great moment in Saints history is Hakeem dropped the ball. Hakeem dropped the ball. Saints beat the Rams. Greatest show in turf. Nobody expected that. Aaron Brooks, first in Saints history. All kinds of things to talk about. Again, things we will get back to on Monday, I promise. We're going to spend Mono Monday talking a lot about Drew Brees and whatever camp updates we can. You start talking about these things, and this show, as always, evolves. Sometimes it evolves into something else, and today evolved. I spent probably, 12, 14 minutes talking about Josh Allen. Certainly didn't think so. And somebody else that has an idea, and I think he disagrees with me, but probably not as probably doesn't feel as strongly about it as some of the Dat family feels about it. But Gabe Henderson on this Thursday morning. Good morning.
Good morning. What do you think I disagree with you on?
That Josh Allen isn't Hall of Famer today. If he retired tomorrow, would he be a Hall of Famer?
No.
Okay, well then we do agree.
Nope.
I don't get your generation, and again, obviously, I'm not saying I'm never one to say everybody. I hate the everybody thing. So if I say everybody, it's because I slipped up and said everybody. I didn't mean to. So there's never everybody. There are, however people live in 300 million people live in America. Whatever it is. I mean, you can't say everybody, but the vast majority of your generation who are football fans think that Josh Allen is the bee's knees, and he is fun to watch.
He's very good.
He's a really good
quarterback in the league.
Great. Okay, you could say great quarterback. Yeah, maybe he is the best quarterback right now. And I'm not saying he isn't. I'd have to think about it and go through it, and I haven't done that. I still don't think he's better than Mahomes. Whatever.
No, do I.
We'll see. But the point is, I just never got for a guy that people say all the time he's carried his team. He hasn't carried his team. He's been a great player for his team. And would the Bills have been in the playoffs without him? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't know. Someone has to explain it to me.
So I think to put a bow on this discussion that you mentioned has gone way longer than usual. I think if every quarterback in the NFL, if their careers ended today, I think there are 4 Hall of Famers.
Okay.
I think it's Patrick Mahomes.
No question.
Aaron Rodgers.
No question. Much as I don't
Matthew
like
Stafford.
him. No question.
And Lamar Jackson.
If he retired today, no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand the argument, but I wouldn't have him.
He's got the reason I think he would be is because he's got multiple MVPs.
Another player
he's led the league in passing touchdowns. He is the all-time leading rusher among quarterbacks, and that I think is an accolade that matters.
Who was it before him?
So, Michael Vick.
Exactly.
Cam Newton.
No, I think it was Michael Vick. Pretty sure it was Michael Vick.
I think so.
So what?
Yeah. I just think that's a title that matters.
Yeah.
I think that's why, and I think the multiple MVPs.
I think that Lamar
Jackson 3 MVPs.
Well, I mean, you can make an argument that I think there's a very good argument that one of the MVPs he got was ridiculous, but another year he didn't get MVP is ridiculous. So either way, he should have two. So yes.
Well, and I think the one that you think is ridiculous, I don't think it's ridiculous he won MVP. I think it's ridiculous that was worthy of an MVP season because the field was so weak.
I mean, Rayson says Lamar Jackson a Hall of Famer, no doubt. I mean,
there's doubt. You can make an
argument.
That's my personal opinion.
We always say we always say if their careers ended today, which is kind of silly anyway, because barring some freak 100%. Injury, they're not going to end today. Lamar Jackson's going to play 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 more years. Yeah. Josh Allen's going to play 5, 6, 7.
Josh Allen will be a Hall of Famer.
Josh Allen's going to make the Hall of Fame, and Lamar Jackson's going to make the Hall of Fame. But I'm just saying, if their seasons ended today, it is. But
I agree.
We'll see. We'll see if they, Lewis says Josh Allen's not the best quarterback in Bills history. Jim Kelly is. I mean, look. Some people use Super Bowls as a measuring stick. Jim Kelly went to 4 in a row. He's the only player that's ever gone to 4 in a row.
Speaking of transitional moments, Jim, I think there's something you want to tell people about.
I'm not in transition, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, I was teeing you up for you to tell people about the rest of their lives.
Oh, you sure did. Oh, wow. I didn't even take the hint. I'm just, whatever. We told you earlier we'd let you know more about how Evangeline Securities, never in transition, always there. They're there for you. Evangeline Securities, they can help you figure out what your family run or privately held business might be worth, whether it's time to sell. You might be wanting to sell. What is my business worth? How do they do it? How do they figure out what your business is worth? Well, glad you asked. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. They're the top producer on their platform, Evangeline Securities is. There are very few companies like them in this area, and say it with me, 0.0 their dedication and success. Roll them. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you, so get in touch with Mr. Nick Braden about what's really important. And it ain't whether Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson's going to make the Hall of Fame. Tell them what's really important, Gabe Henderson.
The rest of your life.
You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com.
Part's correct.
Nick Braden and Joe DeStefano could have retired years ago and still made the Hall. On this show, they made the Hall of Fame. That's for damn sure. All right, let's get on with our predictions. Again, Drew Brees is going to probably be our top record. You can't talk about Drew Brees enough, and I certainly didn't talk about him enough. And there he is, our newest member. Thank you so much, Lewis, for becoming a YouTube member. We appreciate you so much, and all the other regulars here, and especially the members, paid members, who care enough about this show to donate part of their hard-earned money with us. We appreciate you so much, Lewis and everyone else. Speaking of regulars, Randall's here this morning. Welcome back. All right. We are going to get into, again, more Drew Brees talk on Monday. I promise. And we'll have pictures. But we're going to get into the AFC East now. I forgot to make one slide, but we're good. And I'm going to start off. UBN's going to make his predictions as well. And I'm going to start off with the AFC East. He doesn't think that Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are all that great. He's got the New England Patriots winning the AFC East. He's got over 10.5 for the Patriots, under 10.5 for the Bills, like me, over 5.5 on the Jets, and so far it's 3 out of 3 on the under on the my lowly Miami Dolphins. That leads us into Gabe's predictions. And speaking of we got a clean. Terrified. We got a clean. First of all, you and UBN have the exact same numbers, and second of all, scary as we all have the over 5.5 on the Jets, which means go run to the window and bet the under. We all have the under on the Miami Dolphins 4.5, which means go run to the window and bet the over. But you, like UBN, talk about your picks. over 10.5 for the Patriots. You got them winning the division. You got under 10.5 for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think the Patriots, they were products of a weak schedule last year. I think they went out and they strengthened their offense a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They added A.J. Brown. They added Romeo Doubs. Gave Drake May some more weapons. I think their defense is going to be very good again. And can I say something crazy?
You could say whatever you want. It's your time.
Would anyone be? I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to start 0-5 because that would be crazy. But can you tell me a game in Buffalo's first 5 weeks that they are guaranteed to win?
Well, here's their schedule, boys and girls. In case you want to, when you want to talk about it, their schedule starts out at Houston. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know what the odds are going to be on that one. I haven't looked, but then they do have 3 home games in the next. I think they're probably 2-2, 3-1. But
no, I agree with you.
How about that first 5 games? Did you say 4 games or 5 games? Because you got to go through.
I said first.
Okay,
5.
yeah. So at Houston, a Thursday night game on a short week, but they do play them at home against Detroit. Coming off, Detroit's going to be bruised and battered after that Saints game. Then they're at home against the Chargers, home for the Patriots, and then on the road on a Monday night at the Los Angeles Rams. And after, look, they get Vegas on the road. Who cares? That's an easy win in a bye week. But then they got to play Baltimore, Minnesota. You look at some, they got to play Kansas City. They play New England again. They got Green Bay. They got Chicago. In fact, they're at Green Bay in December, which, I mean, that's a lot like playing in Buffalo in December. But at Denver, I mean, this is a very tough schedule. And I don't think people put enough when you're trying to figure out over-unders. Again, I still like the Bills to win the division, but I think they're going to have a really hard time winning 11 games. They might have a hard time winning 10 games.
That's where I was at when I was looking at this division. I think New England I think they've got the easier schedule of the two. Actually, I know Zach said he believed that New England's schedule was harder. I think it's easier. I think that Bills schedule might be the toughest in the league. It's absolutely brutal. And I just don't know. I mean, we mentioned the other day the rookie head coach factor. They're really thin in the secondary. I don't think Buffalo is going to be as good this year. I think New England gets to 11 wins. I think Buffalo's right there around that 9-10 win mark because of Josh Allen. But I'm not confident that Buffalo gets over 10.5.
Well, here's my thing. I really think that this AFC East, and you can mark my words, I think this AFC East is going to be a NFC South kind of division when you look at the records. I don't think they're going to be worse than the NFC South. That's not what I'm saying. But I think they all have tough schedules. And you look at New England's schedule, it ain't easy. They're starting on a Wednesday night at Seattle in a rematch of the Super Bowl. Then they're home for Pittsburgh, but they're at Jacksonville. Then they're at Buffalo. So 3 of their first four games are on the road. Easily could be 2-2 there. I mean, easily could be 2-2. Could be, and I'm not saying they will be, but it could be 1-3. And then it gets a little bit easier. They got the Raiders and Jets at home, but they go to Chicago. They'll beat Miami on the road. Then they're play Green Bay and Detroit. They play Detroit in Europe somewhere. I don't know whether it's in London or wherever it is. But then they get their bye week. They're at the Chargers. They play Buffalo again. They play Minnesota, who's going to be much better. At Kansas City before getting the Jets, and they got the Dolphins in their last game, but they got Denver in the second to last week. So the Patriots' schedule isn't a cakewalk either. That's why I think that the AFC East, that's why I had both the Bills and the Patriots below 10.5.
Yeah, I think the Patriots just go over. I think they're at 11
wins. Yeah.
But I don't. But as you mentioned, the brutal schedules. They get essentially 4 gimmies against the Jets and the Dolphins. Yeah, because I think both of those teams should sweep those series. But it's really going to come down to how you perform against similar teams and each other. If they split the series, especially, it'll be interesting.
Lewis got me to beat you and UBN this year. So
I was going to mention earlier,
there,
since all 4 of us are doing these over-unders and division predictions, we should save these and come back to them at the end of the year.
We definitely should save them. I'm going to keep track of them some kind of way for sure. They'll be in my. I don't throw. I mean, I'm like, I'm a hoarder even in my own computer. I don't throw them away. So these slides will still be around. In fact, that's how I go back to see how I did last year. All right. I forgot to make the just UBN slide. So you and UBN's picks will be on the NFC at the same time. But Doesn't matter all that much. UBN's like Zach and I. He's got the Cowboys winning the NFC East, so you're a lone wolf, my friend. But he's also got the Giants finishing second above the Eagles. I think that's a little bit much. I don't like the Giants nearly as much as everybody else. So he's got over 7.5 on them. He's got the Eagles third, but under 10.5. Obviously, if you got him third, you can have him under 10.5. And then he's got the Commanders over 7.5, but still finishing in fourth place. So he thinks the last place team in the NFC East is going to win 8 games. So he thinks everybody in the NFC East wins 8 or more games. That's interesting. And your pick for people who can't hear it, you got the Eagles over 10.5. So you got them as one of the best teams in the NFC. You got the Cowboys second, but under 9.5. So you're the lone wolf there. You think you're the only one with the under on the Cowboys. Then you got Giants under 7.5 and Commanders under 7.5. And I think I don't think we have anything we don't have any 4 agreements here like we had in the AFC.
Mm-mm.
So just give me your thinking. You got the Eagles again as one of the best teams in the AFC, and hey, they have been for a while.
So full transparency, the way that I do these is I go through and I look at their schedules and I say, at first I count up the guaranteed wins, the games that I think they're absolutely going to win. And then I kind of split the toss-ups and I'm generous with those. And going into this, and I'm so glad I didn't in the end, I had every intention of making Dallas my division winner. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I don't think it would look good if all 4 of us had Dallas winning the division.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Philly.
I agree.
People are making a little too much of Philly. They have this weird roller coaster history where, you know, they have a great offensive coordinator who then gets hired away. Then they replace him with someone mediocre, and then they get someone good again. And it's just this roller coaster. And we're on the up again this year. And I don't think there's a way that Philly doesn't win double-digit games. And I think they get to 11. When I went through their schedules, Philly's is just much more favorable than Dallas's. And I think one thing a lot of people, and I know a few commenters mentioned it earlier, Dallas looks strong on paper, but their depth is not great. And Dallas always has 1 to 2 debilitating injuries every year. Their secondary is not fantastic. Their running game punched above its weight last year. Dak Prescott is a walking medical tent. Their best part about this team is their receiving core. I don't agree with you and Zach actually on the coaching staff. I don't think they were that great. They won 7 games last year. I don't think they've made enough improvements to jump to 10 wins from 7.
I think they won 7 games in part because I think it was a cluster F in Dallas that was just an absolute mess that McCarthy had left behind, in my opinion.
I don't disagree, but I don't think, like I said, and this is just my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm alone on this. I don't think they've improved.
Well, I will say this: Jerry Jones has trouble getting out of his own shadow, so he could always find. And I know he's only the owner and the president, but he, you know, at 80 whatever years old, he still find a way to screw it up.
That being said, I do think Dallas is a 9-win team.
It's not. You're not running in the window to bet an under.
Fully agrees with me. Yeah. And I fully agree with him on this. I think Dallas is decent. I think they're a 9-win team. I think Philly's hovering around that 11-12. And then I think the other 2 are really interesting. I'm least confident in my Giants and Commanders picks. It's a toss-up for me. And when it's a toss-up, I tend to err on the side of caution. And I'm going to go with the under with the 2 of them. I don't believe in Jackson Dart. I've said that. I don't think they're all that great.
I think that the Giants
would be better.
If I had to predict actually win till, it's not one I'm going to bet either. I would have the Giants and Commanders right at 7. I think they're right at 7. I think they're both at 7.
They're both at 7.
So I mean, it's not one I'm going to go
7.5.
Yeah, and so anyway, but I'm with you. We'll see what happens.
The Commanders just can't. They're not going to be able to run the ball.
Ryan says he thinks the division's way overrated. He has the Eagles taking another step back at the list. Look, I mean. It comes down to me. I don't like Nick Sirianni. I mean, I've made that clear. I'm not a Nick Sirianni fan. But again, I mean, you're talking about a coaching staff who, I understand your point as well. You look at Philly's schedule. They get Washington at home. That should be an interesting opening game. They play at Tennessee. That should be a win. So they should be 2-0. Then they go to Chicago. They're home for the Rams, home for Jacksonville. They got 3 really tough games. They play. One of them's. I'm sorry, Jacksonville games in Europe. So they got. I see 4 versus. So they play the Rams and then they go to Europe to play Jacksonville. Did not take their bye week. Come home and play Carolina on a Sunday afternoon, and then they host Dallas on Monday Night Football. That'll be an interesting game at Washington against the Giants. So look, it's fairly favorable. That stretch of 4 games is kind of tough. So let's just say let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're a 2-loss team by the time they get to their bye week in week 10. They got Pittsburgh, Dallas, Arizona, Indianapolis, but it ends tough, man. This is not an easy ending of the schedule. Their last 4 games, Seattle, Houston, San Francisco, and New York, and the last 2 games are on the road. That is not an easy finish. So
I think those last 2
even
games
if they have
will
4
be
losses
easy.
when they get there, that's going to be tough.
Can we even say San Francisco is going to be a tough game, considering they've already had 20 injuries by August 6th? I mean, they are just so beat. And I know
find a way,
they do, but oh my God, they're decimated by injuries right now. But all of that being said, I think the one person that nobody is talking about this year, because he had a down year last year, Saquon Barkley. And I think he is so eager to get back to that top level. I think Jalen Hurts is a fine quarterback. I really like. I tried to talk myself out of it because you already have Devontae Smith and Mekhi Lemon injured in Philly, and it's just we're so much uncertainty around those receivers. But my God, Saquon Barkley is such a difference maker, and I don't see any way Philly doesn't win this division.
Just saying that when the Super Bowl is played on Valentine's Day, Saquon will have already turned 30 years old. You know what I think about 30-year-old running backs?
I do, but Saquon's different.
This is his 29. No, nobody's different except Derrick Henry. That's different.
Saquon's in he has earned the Derrick Henry status.
He hasn't earned jack shit. I'm just saying. He's been hurting his career too.
He has.
So anyway, Saquon is a different animal. There's no question about it. All right. Monday, more Drew Brees talk. Next week, next Thursday, NFC and AFC
Randall,
West.
Stop sniffing glue.
Yeah. I mean,
Scatterbo's not even
Randall's
the best back
back
on his team.
He's not.
Not even the best back on his team, by the way. Tyrone Tracy is better.
Yeah. This is the guy that picked Washington to win the division, and now he's saying Scatterbo's I think
Scatterbo's not even close. Not even better than
Ryan says the Eagles' schedule seems on the favorable side. I don't necessarily think it's super tough.
It's not.
I'm telling you, those last 4 teams those last 4 games are not going to be cakewalk.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I went in trying to find every reason to have Dallas win that division.
Yeah.
And I couldn't.
We shall see, but we'll have a lot of fun next week, and we'll do it all again. I can't wait to see what UBN says about his San Francisco 49ers. He is obviously he's about to go to Wrigley. In fact, he's already at Wrigley Field probably. So we'll talk to him next week, and I'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Sounds good.
Special birthday edition of the Dattitude podcast. Not mine on Monday, but a certain girl in this family turning 15 years old. Look out, New Orleanians. Look out, people on the North Shore. About to drive. Turning 15 on Monday. That's what they look like on the first day of school, in case you missed it earlier. Sigh. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe. Before we go off the air, I will remind you all, please, if you haven't already done so, a long show today. I knew it was going to be a long show talking about Drew Brees. Monday may be long too. We may be tearing up. Maybe whatever happened Saturday, we're tearing up when Drew Brees makes the Hall of Fame. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll have some pictures for you. And of course, we'll be commenting. We'll give you camp updates. All kinds of stuff going on Mono E Monday. That is exactly what Monday is going to be. Mono E Monday. It's just you, just me, just Gabe, and it's all of you. S. Callie will be here. I know she's going to be here. Great show. She's got to roll. Thank you. Go Tigers. Who dat? That's right. We got to start talking about LSU pretty soon. We're going to do that, by the way. I have not forgotten about LSU. I promise we'll get into LSU stuff and Tulane stuff as well. That'll be coming up. We're not going to do it this Monday, but probably the Monday after we'll start talking about it for sure. It's been a lot of fun. Again, tell your friends if you haven't already done so. We need as many. We need to keep this channel. As much as I love you members, thank you so much. As much as I love Evangeline Securities, as much as I love Level Up Louisiana, I thank you all so much. But we need more subscribers. We need more eyeballs on this show. We need you to help us do that. If you've already subscribed, tell your friend, tell your best friend, tell your BFF, tell your mom and them, tell whoever you want to tell. Tell Dot. Maybe Dot's outside smoking. She's just finishing her 3rd pack of cigarettes for the day. You know what? I hadn't subscribed to the Dattitude podcast yet. Oh, that hurt. I feel like I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes. I'll be all right, Shay, I promise. But anyway, tell them all to subscribe to the Dattitude podcast. Also, click the little bell to receive the notification when we go on the air live, which is every Monday, every Thursday, live at 9 a.m. beginning on September 13th. Also Sunday, live at 9 a.m. beginning on game day. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. Everybody have a fantastic, wonderful, glorious, beautiful weekend. Go talk about Josh Allen with your friends and come back and see me Monday. Because we won't talk about that. We'll talk about Drew Brees. Until Monday, you know what I say here. Everybody, take it easy, my friends.